100. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom to the worldwide family. Peaceful Sabbath day, y'all, as we wind down day 7 of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. I hope everybody had a peaceful week of unleavened bread, getting the leavening out of our consciousness. You know, as we move forward, y'all, continued on in the worship of the Most High, of the only begotten Son of the Almighty. Y'all, we just hope y'all had a good feast of Passover and understood the true significance of it.
Yes, sir.
So with that, y'all, we're gonna get our study lesson on today, our feast for this final day. And y'all, at one moment in time, we may stop and just break bread because there's a holy convocation to finish off today. So we may do that with the family after we get about an hour in or so, everybody get on board. So if you got any crackers left, sip of wine, a little grape juice for the shorties, we'll get that in as well because we have to do a holy convocation. We're facing the east, y'all. We turning toward holy Jerusalem.
All right, family, we're going to get this opening prayer with the Most High's permission and in the name of his only begotten and beloved Son, our Lord and Savior, Yahushua HaMashiach. But we know him as Jesus the Christ, y'all. Long live the King.
Long live the King.
Reading in the book of Psalms, in the 4th chapter, it reads, "Hear me when I call, O Elohim of my righteousness. Thou hast enlarged me when I was in distress. Have mercy upon me and hear my prayer. O ye sons of men, how long will ye turn my glory into shame? How long will ye love vanity and seek after leasing? Selah.
Selah.
But know that the Most High has set apart him that is godly for himself.
That's right.
Yahweh will hear when I call unto him.
Yes, sir.
Stand in awe and sin not.
That's right.
Commune with your own heart upon your bed and be still. Selah.
Selah.
Offer the sacrifices of righteousness.
That's right.
And put your trust in the Most High. There be many that say, who will show us any good? Yahweh, lift thou up the light of thy countenance upon us. Thou hast put gladness in my heart, more than in the time that their corn and their wine increased.
That's right.
I will both lay me down in peace and sleep, for thou, Master, only makest me dwell in safety. Hallelujah! Selah!
Yes, sir. Huh? Shalom, y'all there.
That's what we closing out with.
Okay. Need a few to go out and help be my boy.
Yeah, with them young
shit
ladies
like
out there,
that.
boy.
Yeah,
Them young ladies. You know, I look right at you every ripper. I'm gonna look.
They can get right back out. They only need a couple of them. So y'all, what we're gonna do today is we're gonna do a spiritual freestyle one-on-one. And due to the fact that I know there's a lot of questions because I was still kind of getting a few calls throughout the week on understanding the feast and its conclusion and the time of it. So what we like to do is, if you got any questions that may be still concerning you, what's going on with the feast, the Passover, the time of it, you know, and we'll take the first 3 subject matters unless we have a class online that we can point you to that'll save you some time. You can sit down and we won't be regurgitating something that's already locked and loaded. But any other questions on your mind? If not, y'all, we got a class locked on mercy of the Most High because we truly need to understand what mercy is. So other than that, y'all, we'll take a few questions and hope you'll pass over and Feast of Unleavened Bread as we wind down into the final hour of it, y'all, because it has to end where it started. The 14th day of the Passover was Saturday before sundown, last Saturday. Let's get that understood. The Passover is the 14th day of the month. The Feast of Unleavened Bread starts on the 15th day of the month. So since night starts day, last Saturday, soon as it hit sundown, was the start of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So we can't go past sundown again, or you're just breaking when you're supposed to start and end. You got something, right?
Yeah, you just made me think about it. Now, when we started 2 weeks ago with that class of the new moon and the Passover and the beginning of months coming in, if you all go outside tonight, now you start to see the diminishing of the moon, where you're looking now, it's going to make the switch to your right thumbnail.
Hey, Mr. Salon.
That's going to match. We was this yesterday, and you start to see it darkening more on this right side here, which tonight, tomorrow, it's your time to go out and start seeing this thumbnail here diminishing to get back to the new moon where we started at 2 weeks ago. So yesterday the moon was bright enough to be in the sky all day here in the loop. So you can see it. So now you start to notice the switch from full moon, the night of the Passover was the full moon. After the full moon, it starts diminishing back down into the cycle of the new moon coming in, which will be the beginning of next month. So go out and just keep watching this, because this is going to keep getting smaller. This bright side of the moon is going to keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller into darkness. And that's how you tell when your new moon is coming in. All right.
Yeah, because that's another thing, man. I had talked to a couple of different people, and they had like 3 or 4 different dates of the Passover.
Of the Passover.
I don't see how. I know that some people go off the lunar,
Right,
and then some people go off the solar.
right.
But then there's even other days that were kept, and I don't know where all the confusion comes in. But the most important part is that you keep it.
That's the most important part. But and like you're saying, let no man judge you on a feast day or holy day. Colossians 2:16. So it's not to a point that where somebody can cast you into the lake of fire about how you keep it, because if it was, it would be no question. But what we have to come to understand is feast days are tied to the next one. And they're in succession. Yeah, I'm getting right into 2 by in succession on how they're to be done, like the Feast of Passover, which only meant for you to get yourself and put the blood over the doorposts of your heart, spiritually. So you got to get what it takes to get the leavening out, and that's to put the blood of Messiah on the doorposts of your heart, to circumcise the flesh of your heart first. Once you do that during the prepping of the Passover, at the latest on the 14th day. Because when you come into the unleavened bread, you can't have or not have the blood on the doorposts of your heart when you come into it. You ain't got no tools to fight with.
Right.
So once we, shalom, Imam, once we understand the dates and times, and then this feast day, because it's harvest and it's new cropping and it's bringing things back to life, it filters right into the day of Pentecost, which is 7 complete Sabbaths and a day.
Right.
So you got to do your count however you're doing. If you're doing lunar calendar, your count still got to be 50 days.
Right.
You got to have 7 complete Sabbaths and a day. And it's almost going to always fall on the first day of the week. If you're not, maybe you need to add the sun back into your season and understanding what feast days is. All the moon do is show you and point to you, but it does not alter the weekly Sabbath. Because if you do that, this 7-day feast we had, the first day should be treated as the Sabbath, and the next day's got to be treated as the Sabbath. Does that recalculate then your lunar Sabbath days? Because you got a lot of days that have to be looked at as Sabbath. They are not the Sabbath. It says they have to be looked at as the Sabbath. So you got to get all your count if you're using that in for the people that believe that way. But look, we follow it accordingly. The sun is the greater light.
Right.
The moon is the lesser light, which gets, according from Enoch 72nd chapter through the 80th, the moon gets its lights from the sun. So if you exclude the greater light, you ain't got no light anyway.
Right.
And that's what the same thing is with the Messiah. He's the greater light. We're the lesser light. So we got to make sure we don't blot out the greater light. So y'all, with that, any other questions too, by?
Yeah.
There was one question that was asked, or he answered it, but I'm not reading it aloud anyway so that everybody can participate and answer it. Floyd asked, was he correct? And scrolling back up, I kind of lost the question. He said, was I correct in not eating anything that had flour and baking soda, baking powder, and cornstarch?
Well, what we're talking about, like we just discussed, Zeb and I, the scriptures say leaven.
Right.
What it would take for you to do is just follow along with the scripture. It's so much other information that'll jump you up. That's what Satan doing when Ezekiel 28:12 till he calls this traffic. He likes that traffic up here, you know, that not paying attention, looking at your phone and have to slam on the brakes type of traffic, and then you get that hot flash that go down all the way to your toe because you almost done ran into the back of somebody. He likes that traffic up here. What's in?
That's because that's like on the sisters' meeting, on the sisters' prayer line, there was something that came up about yeast.
Right.
Yeast being in grapes, in
Yeast,
lemon, and all kinds of things. And people was, you know,
wine.
Yeah, wine. Different things got yeast in it.
There's extract, yeast.
Yeah.
So when you look up all these things, it'll tell you that they don't have, some things have what's called natural fermentation.
Right.
Yeast is already in them, but what this says is get the leavening out.
Right.
What we're talking about is the agent that puff things up.
Right.
Some people talking about, well, eggs.
no leavening.
They ain't no leavening. When you cook them, that's air that causes them to do that.
But that baking soda,
But baking soda, Martha White, and certain things that you put in called additives or leavening. See, and that's what he's telling you. You got to get them additives out of you. If you got adding or taking away, you got to get that out of your heart. You got to get that out.
And
what somebody said the Bible says.
see, that's the most important part, what you just said, out of your heart.
Out of your heart.
You understand? But see, the food and things, when in doubt, do without. That's the way
right.
I look at it.
That's
You
the way
know,
it's supposed to be
Not all
looked at.
leavening is, not all yeast is
It's
leavening.
exactly.
Not all
yeast.
leavening agents are yeast.
Exactly.
Absolutely, because
Baking soda is not, it ain't got yeast in it, but it's a leavening agent.
Exactly.
So let's concentrate on what the scripts say and not what our minds want to
Right.
want to do. It's called
dig
the,
into something because, like Daniel said,
What is the feast
he
called?
want that traffic.
what's the feast called? Unleavened bread, not the feast of yeast, of no yeast. So y'all, we have to be careful because of its, thank you, Imam, of its natural quality. Something ferment. Look, pass that on. Notice, man. Who's this one? Okay. So we have to understand that when you're talking about a natural agent that you add, Hennessy is fermented wine. And fermented is caused by yeast, everything, but it's not an additive in there. It's a natural formation of things sitting up, grapes in it and everything. It didn't tell us we have to get that out of our house. It said get them additives out. And it explains why. You know why? Because we used to put that in the bread. Like today, if you can make flat, what they call hot water cornbread. That's flat, ain't it? Something is missing that it don't rise up. And then you can make cornbread that's gonna get this thick in the pan. All depends on how much leavening you add to that hot water cornbread.
Right.
And make it rise up. Y'all, it's simple work. He's not making it grievous to where you couldn't understand. Shalom, y'all. So they're not making it grievous for you to hard to understand, but
Lord, shalom, Hebrews.
unleavened bread is simple as this, y'all. Pure 100% gold medal flour, nothing else in it, and water. Flour and just basic water. That's right. See, the only difference is Most High, because prison will give you this. just bread and water. The only part is you got to ask for this kind. Well, you're gonna put me in the hole, just give me bread with no leavening in it and water. It's the same thing Shalom said. So y'all, what we want to get understanding, we start to get too deep and we start to dig and we miss the true understanding of what leavening is. And he explained it to him. He said it's doctrine of the Pharisees. It's bad doctrine.
Right.
If you don't get that out and get all the leavening out of how you can quit drinking soda. But if you still got that in you, if that's still a trouble or a sore spot, that's what the Passover part was for. It was to put the blood on there so it would protect you from leavening products sneaking in on you. You get that out, y'all. Once you get it here, you won't even see crackers in your house because you already know what you're supposed to do. I can't eat that.
Right. But then it don't do a bit of good if you go the whole feast and don't eat anything with leavening in it, but you still got malice on your heart.
Still got malice on your heart. All you did is what we talk about. And that's why if we don't get enough freestyles, we're going to go over mercy and we're going to talk about obedience over sacrifice. See, you can make a sacrifice. Shalom, Jeremiah.
You just did an unleavened diet.
That's all
Right,
you
that's
did
it.
was
That
took
was
a
an
walk
unleavened
out
diet.
to the car and put your crackers in the car. You just
Yeah.
pull the soda out and get it out of your way, but that ain't what this script is talking about. See, because he explained to the disciples, because they thought because he had fed the 5,000 that he wanted them to go back to the store. He like, look y'all, it ain't about physical food. Y'all only had 5 loaves and we fed 5,000. Y'all know that ain't possible.
Right.
But without a miracle. And then he said, and then we took up leftovers.
Right.
So it ain't about physically eating. Don't get caught up in that part of physically moving stuff. That's the easy part. Anybody can do that. You can move crackers out of your house and still cussing out the person you ate.
That's right.
A black no good mother. Oh, yeah, bring me them other crackers too. We'll get that soda. Get the soda like I told you. We gotta put them in the trunk. I can't stand that ugly mother.
Right.
When you gonna put this in the trunk?
Right. Right.
Put your mouth in the trunk.
That's what you need to put in the trunk, your mouth. So y'all, that's what we get started. Once you understand this from the Melchizedek order, you won't get twisted up. And y'all, and a lot of times, like we normally would have the bitter herb out there, but the question was asked, is there any scripture that say the bitter herb is for the bitter bondage? It kind of correlates, it tells you that you got to have it with your meal. We know that 100. It has to be part of the meal that night. Bitter herbs. Eat it with what? Bitter herbs. So now, because everything was done in haste, we couldn't put the leavening in because you didn't have time to wait for the bread to rise.
No.
It had to be quick bread. You know how they do it at Qdoba? Someone put it on that thing and then lift it up and bread was got out the door. That's why we couldn't do it, because we were eating in haste. We were on the move. So like manna, we have to get the leavening out because we're on the move. It's short time, y'all. Y'all see the plagues. The Most High could come back at any time. If you done got crackers and put in the trunk of your car and you still hating,
Right.
Still going off on you, brother.
it's still a
Clouding your
problem.
brother.
All you did was just,
Doing an 11 week.
you just made a sacrifice. That's all you did. There's no obedience there because he cares nothing about this. And it ain't just New Testament.
Right.
It's an issue with Saul and Samuel concerning a sacrifice he made and was told what to do. The Most High don't care about nothing. He said, I make everything. Well, what do you mean? I was holding that part back because, I want to make sure. Look, he controls the entire world.
That's right.
And everything in it. So with that, y'all, I just want y'all to be, right now, if you haven't got it out, you still got time. Because the Feast of Unleavened Bread, by twilight, by the time the street lights come on, you have to be completely prep free and done wound down from it. And what I mean by that is, it's coming to the end of it. So you just don't stop abruptly. That's why the Most High have what's he called in the dusk or dawn, or what's called the twilight period. When the street lights come on, that tells you I'm winding down, and you got to be ready to stop. As soon as sundown hit, there's another day. If you got anything left over, or you're practicing anything left over going into the 8th day, that will be going into the 8th day. Because technically sundown today is going into the first day of the week. You're out of the 7 days because we started on the Sabbath. It's going to end on a Sabbath. But we have to end it right before so that you don't toast up at sundown. You cannot, because you're taking it into the 23rd day, because we started on the 15th. That'll be 8 days, y'all. What they got out there? Hold on one
I
second.
just want to say what?
Go ahead. Which one?
Him who?
Who had? Did you have something?
Yeah, I did have.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, bro.
I'm just gonna say one thing real quick. If tonight is sundown, you pop a beer, it's over. You just voided the whole feast. See, if you're counting down, like he's speaking of, counting down, sun finna be down.
Right.
Sun finna be down.
Can't wait to pop
Get that,
this
put
cake.
that beer
Right.
on ice. So that as soon as the sun is down,
Right, but
it's
and
over.
look,
You just voided everything you just did because you were waiting.
right, and if you're
Now
waiting,
it's beer drinking time again.
well, see, and that's what we're talking about. Well, some say, well, it ain't illegal. It is if you're waiting like that.
If
That
you're
means
looking forward to
you're
that.
waiting it out. You don't
means-
understand. You shouldn't have to look at your watch.
That
If
means
somebody
it's
say
been
it's over, it's been
Sacrifice.
grievous.
It was a sacrifice.
Doing it
Right.
like that.
It was
Yeah.
a sacrifice. You waiting. You
Yeah,
can't
it wasn't-
wait. It's got
right.
you rocking. I got to get to my beer. Then basically all you did is took off just long enough to stay away
Yep.
from what you like, and you're waiting it out. So then it becomes a burden to you.
But see, that's what I was about to say too, because even the thing is get that leavening out of your heart,
Right.
But not as soon as it's over. The leavening sitting there waiting to
To
pop
come
back
back.
out,
Right.
and you start on Facebook dogging out your bros again.
Yeah, again,
You're
right after.
supposed to leave
Okay.
that leavening out of your
We go
heart.
Out of
it's
your
over
heart.
now. Who wants to smoke?
Right? Who wants some smoke?
Right. The leavening, the spiritual leavening stays out of your heart.
Right.
The physical come back in because it don't mean nothing. It's just gonna go through your digestive tract, and it's gonna purge in the drought.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mainly, it's just gonna make a turd. That's it. So
And it's just like Uriah say, you can't be rushing the feast to be over with
Right.
just to get back to that.
to the old way.
You know.
Because you're gonna hurt yourself.
Yeah.
You know why? You're gonna swallow one down without taking a breath. You're gonna pull up in that Burger King line and you're gonna say, just pile it on. Now, do you want to double or triple it, quadruple it, 5 it, whatever you got to do, just pack it on there and put the bread on there.
Sir, we don't make those. You gonna make one for me?
Right. Send me 2 of them pizzas from Pantera with the thick crust and cheese on them, and I want the crust this thick. You finna be loaded up, you gonna be swelled up, and you're going to be bloated. What also the Feast of Unleavened Bread does is it cleans your intestines out. If you've done it correctly and haven't paid attention to it, you should have dropped 1 belt size, minimum.
Yeah.
Because leavening going out of your stomach for a week and no more being put in there, it's allowing the acid to just get it out of there.
And it's not
just
swelling
get it
you
out.
up.
It's not swelling you back up. It's 1 week will clear that out. I like to eat them all year round, me personally, because I don't like thick bread. I eat 1 piece of bread on a sandwich. So, you know, to me, I can eat them all year round. And for whoever y'all don't have none down here or whatever, we got plenty of them. A lot of people left the Passover and didn't get their crackers.
Please take a box.
So please, we got plenty over here.
Please take
If
a
you
box.
want some to eat later on, just contact Sister Deborah and she'll have the rest of them, y'all, because they're good. Right, we make pizzas out of them. We all type of deals with them. I like to eat them with breakfast. So, but we ain't gonna tarry on that too much longer. What you saying, Zed?
I was just saying the pieces we had last night was fire.
Oh yeah, boy, look here.
It's a couple questions on here real quick.
Okay.
The one sister, did you see that?
Shouts out to Sister Nikio
Oh, Faith
and
Walker.
Sister Malaya. Thank
faith
y'all
walker.
kindly for y'all support of the ministry.
There's supposed to be a change in you. Is that right?
It's supposed to be, what they saying?
There's supposed to be a change in you, and then there's another one. Under
After the Feast of Unleavened Bread? Yeah, it should be.
it should be.
Right. Because look, the Passover, like we say, leads into all of the other feast days that all are cleansing feast days to get you prepared, get your mind right with who you're going to be around starting out at 1,000 years. Y'all, if you can't have no peace the weekend, don't even look toward 1,000 years. You ain't even looking toward 2 weeks. Well, look, if 1 week was interrupted, what you going to do with 1,000 years? Yo, you got to get your mental, anything that's popping up in your mind, you gotta I gotta push this back. At least I gotta do myself justice and wait till the feast is over before I act a clown. But there's some on the phone right now, you better call the circus because I'm about to clown.
Uh-oh.
Son was clowning right in the middle of it. 2 days in.
What we got, bro? Any more out
Provoking
there?
your brother to anger.
We got any questions, y'all? It's free spiritual freestyle. So anything on y'all heart, mind, or soul, y'all, we want to hit it while we can. If not, we're going into the mercy of the Most High.
Who y'all asked, so we are able to go back to alkaline in our bodies on Tuesday?
You can go back tomorrow.
You can go back to tonight at sundown.
Don't rush it.
At sundown. So y'all, so that we get the understanding of when we was talking about the solar calendar as well as the lunar calendar, they work together. So when you're doing your count, because we got a next feast day, we got to be on point. It says 7 complete Sabbaths after the Passover. 7 complete Sabbaths. Y'all, we just happen to fall on a Sabbath, but it's a high Sabbath. But that's not a completed Sabbath because we started there. You understand what I'm saying? So you would have to go 7 days and complete. So from it ending the 7 Sabbaths after the Passover, then you start counting. You know, today is 1 complete Sabbath. Then you got 2, and it should fall around May the 31st. If I'm correct on it, because once you do the count, it should land right there. Actually the 30th, and then you got 1 day, which makes it 50. It should land on the 31st of May for the Feast of Pentecost coming up. Now, if you're only doing one side, you may end up with 36 days or 54. But it's gonna be rough on getting just 50 off the top. What you got, bro?
Sean Wise asked, when does the new year start? Every year. What month?
A month of a beer.
A month of Abib. That's what it say. And y'all look, there's 2 different, when you're looking at, there's our feast new year for feast. It's the Passover. Then you have what's technically called, we have called what's called a civil new year. Y'all, we got to understand the difference in that. That starts around trumpet and atonement. Those are civil New Year's. That's like, because if it starts in March and you gonna say, well, the New Year started in March, that would be our Abib, you know, in March. Well, where do you put February and January? Are they still part of last year? Because it's wintertime, right? If you say nothing dead grows in the wintertime, then you got to put February and January at the prior end of 2020. So technically, if your birthday was in January or February, you're just that age from last year.
Oh, so I'm a year younger?
You a year younger, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can't start the new year, and your birthday can't start till after March, right? My birthday was in March. So I may be right there.
You a year old.
But if you in January and February, what you saying, Zay? You still got to wait if you running straight across the board like that. And that means you got to switch up everything. All time have to be switched up because you're running one source of light. And he told you, I'm gonna give you the greater light, the sun. What is the sun's job? What is the sun's job? For anybody just saying we got to go off the moon calendar, what is the sun's job? We've been asking it and asking it and asking it. What is the sun's job?
Just to govern.
And why in the book of Micah is it compared to the Most High? It say the Son of Righteousness, S-U-N, but then when you get into Psalms 89, it explains that it's not talking about the worship of the sun. So it's a difference, but it's putting the power of the greater light on the Messiah. We got, if you running this from this perspective, you leaving out some light. Like driving with one headlight on. What you got right there too, but I see your forehead wrinkled up.
The video?
No, it's Rashado.
Rashado.
Is it possible to have the task of Hosea placed upon them with Gomer and a spiritual lost person? Female in parentheses.
Well,
That's why my ear was ringing, because I couldn't even
With
see.
what? About Gomer? What are you talking about? Hosea 4? What are you speaking of?
Yes.
Hosea 2, what's up, nerd?
He said-
Huh?
They give
Asking,
scripture.
is it possible to have the task of Hosea placed upon them with Gomer and a spiritual lost person? I'm reading it verbatim. Everything is saying.
Of Gomer?
Yeah.
So what chapter or verse? Y'all, we don't like to do your homework because it says don't answer until you fully hear a matter. So we got to ask again, what part of Hosea got, what, 12 chapters? 9 at least, minimum. How many chapters Hosea got? 12, 13, don't it?
Yeah, about 13.
So what chapter are we speaking of, y'all? We need to know where we're going to. So when they throw that out there, I believe it's 4th chapter, but we're not going to hunt for you because we may still be in the wrong area.
I got a simple question from the video.
Okay?
Is this a high Sabbath as well?
Yes, it is, because let's go to that while we're in it. Let's finish off Leviticus 23 on the Feast of Unleavened Bread, because there's things we have to keep, you know, during that week, and how we must end it. Okay, I tell you what, let's go Exodus 12, because that's pretty good. Let's go Exodus 12, y'all, and let's start about verse 11. We'll just pick it up, y'all. We'll just go down to 16, down to 17, and that'll clear everything up on what we need to be doing, y'all. Because y'all have to understand, the feast part that we're doing is all symbolic. Because everything is spiritual now, y'all. Everything is spiritual. You know, and the reason that it has to be because you got groups out there that say the Messiah is blemished, but yet they'll go get a whole lamb and try to sacrifice it and think they got the best one. Man, we went over there to them Arabs, you know, they don't cook no pork. Well, you still over there with them Arabs.
Right, you putting your trust in them.
Right, you still on what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 8, don't be worried about what's sold in the marketplace.
Right.
How you gonna talk about them Arabs and they hollering to another God?
Right.
Is they cutting and hollering, Akbar, Akbar? Cause ain't no pork in there?
Right.
No, you still missing the mark. So y'all, let's pick it up, y'all. Let's go get at it. Exodus 12.
Verse 11.
Start about verse 11.
Everybody there? Theo?
Don't mess with Theo.
Right, get bit. Exodus chapter 12, verse 11.
What it say?
And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded.
With your what?
Your loins girded.
So now we gird the loins of our mind. We gotta eat the Passover with the girding of your mind. See, it has to be up here to tell you to. See, you ain't got the old flesh where you have to always do that to get it understood. But if you stop it up here, you cut the popping out. Don't you want to cut the popping out? Ain't y'all tired of the popping? Go ahead. Hand ashy, you know, from all them pop, like you've been sifting junkyard rock. I mean, just knuckles white.
Need some assistance, but
Boy, look here. Go ahead.
And thus shall ye eat it with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand. And ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover.
So we have to eat the Passover in haste, the part Because he could come at any time, y'all. So that's why we have to put the blood over the doorpost of our heart. See, doing all the unleavened bread and the death angel was coming through, if you didn't have the blood on your doorpost, you just wasting your time cooking unleavened bread. It's something else we're supposed to do, wasn't it? What they saying about the front door?
I don't know. We'll find out in the morning.
In the morning, yeah.
And you be preparing for a burial.
Right.
Wake up, come on, Lord, Junior dead.
Right, Junior dead. He the firstborn gone. Go ahead, where we at?
Verse 12. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord.
So when we're saying we're getting the leavening out, we're eating it in haste because he's going to go up against all the gods of Egypt. That's like all the doctrine the Messiah was telling you. You got to get all that. What we care about, what this God's saying. I mean, why are we in a discussion talking about another God? When he put it out there, the test out there in Isaiah 41, if they can prove the past, the present, and the future, they're God. If they can't do that, why are we discussing anything about Lucifer?
Wasting breath.
Well, because he the God. What does that mean? What power do he have when it say all you have to do is resist him, and he has zero power?
That's right. Even for
The problem is the non-resistance.
Right.
What you say, Sid?
They got what they like.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get it. What you over there laughing at, nerd? Okay.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
See, so it has to be a token upon this house that where this house is cleansed. That's the token. That's the proof that you're obedient, and you stop it here first. Look, you can take all the crackers out to the trunk you want. You can cut back on that. That's just sacrificing. Yeah, dog, got it all out yesterday. Yeah. Everything in the trunk. No soda, no nut, dog. I am prepared. You know, I ain't taking no chances either. I ain't eating no sugar puffs. I ain't eating nothing that look like it's gonna rise up, dog. I ain't doing nothing. Who is this? I know this black mother, excuse me. That quick talking about getting that all out, but a phone call that made you go right back into your old self. What else to say, bro?
I got one. I was listening to Ricky Smiley the other morning, and I was drinking a cup of coffee while I was doing at work, filling out my stuff. And he was talking about Mountain Dews. And I'm sitting up there like, boy, as soon as I finish this cup of coffee, I'm going to get me a Mountain Dew.
Boy.
And just that quick, I realized how I got seduced.
That quick.
Just that quick.
Just put it right before his eyes. And I'm not telling you, he wasn't imagining just one that's dusty, the last one left on the shelf at Family Dollar. This one had ice drippings coming down. It's like somebody had reached in a cooler. That's what was going on up there. See, it's going on up here. There was no Mountain Dew in his view anywhere. Wasn't even an old bottle in the truck. He was up here thinking about it. Ice cold. Subliminal seduction, just like at the movies. You can go stop. We're gonna stop at the Family Dollar and get all of the jujus, all of the snacks that we need. We're gonna sneak in the popcorn. You do eat all that up. As soon as they run a Coca-Cola commercial and have them bubbles flowing, there you go back to the concession stand, full already from your snuck in snack. And you finna spend $50 right now
on one soda,
on the Coke. Biting off a licorice and just eyes bigger than your stomach. Because you've been seduced that quick, y'all.
I'm telling you, you could have filled me like a commercial, boy. I'm sitting there like,
just couldn't wait, just ready.
I'm already drinking, so it's not like I was thirsty. You see what I'm saying? I got a cup of coffee I'm waiting to finish.
Not like a Mountain Dew though,
is it? Go get a Mountain Dew.
See, cause you can't do this with coffee. Cause it ain't cold like that. Go ahead, bro. Where we at? Verse what?
13 again.
We got something. What you got, Jeremiah?
Have you ever noticed late at night, or that time the TV, they don't put nothing but heat commercial.
Late at night, y'all.
I said, what I see in the ears here.
Yeah.
See, that's the trick.
That's the trick.
Yeah.
That's the trick.
You know what the other problem is? it's late at night and you in the bed and you finna get out and get something to eat and get back in the bed and lay flat, letting that acid run all up and down her, and now you finna have nightmares as well as acid reflux gonna work you over all night long. All night long. They don't stop the commercials cause they like, look, it's people that be up all night. This for them too.
Right, for the gamers.
But you absolutely right, bro. Subliminal seduction.
Subliminal.
Thank you, man. Subliminal seduction.
Man, be convinced. He said
Look, that was something underwater I was saying.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
subliminal is, that's underwater.
Subliminal.
Subliminal, huh?
It's subliminal.
Okay.
you ain't had to be in that.
I didn't run them together. So y'all, that's the deal, y'all. So that's what the devil like to do, because he said, I don't have to put it in front of you. I just have to put it up here. You will do all your own work after that. And that's when you'll be responsible, because that's what James said. When sin has conceived, then it bringeth forth death.
Right.
See, because that sin has to make a baby.
Right.
So it still has to put those two parts together. If you get it erased up here, then it's like, something happened. If you know what I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't happen. Okay, so you get out of that one. But if it goes all the way through and then you put your hand to it, it's a done deal. So y'all, let's finish up. We got more questions. Go ahead, man. Let's finish this up.
Verse
Down
13.
17. Yeah.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon your houses where ye are. And when I see the blood,
And when I do what?
when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be on you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt.
See, so understand this. If you didn't obey this command, he said, when I smite the Egyptians, you're not off limits to the smiting or the plague. Your firstborn will die if you don't come into this covenant of getting this blood on you. You will die. You can take all the leaven and bread, all that's a done deal. Now, this is what I want y'all to think about. Dathan, with his rotten rear end, that loved Pharaoh, put blood on his doorposts.
Right.
But it still take obedience, because he failed in the wilderness. He just saw somebody doing it and he just did it. Y'all, and this is what we're talking about, copycat worship. You see somebody doing something, you think, well, I'll just copy them and doing it, And copycat getting us in a lot of trouble. You see somebody do like this, they're praying, you need to look like you praying. You're like, well, I don't know what to say. Well, I'll just count to 10, they won't know. 1,002, 1,003. Thank you, Lord.
They throwing a few of them too.
No, you just counted to 10, that's all.
But see, now look, see that what you just did, that faking to be seen of men is like the conversation we were having earlier about all of these other brothers, quote unquote, in these camps, getting caught up in these situations.
Yes, sir.
Like them cats at the strip club,
Right.
And like old boy with his fornicating ass, and what's the other, the discomforter, and then the people within those camps see these things going on and don't speak out on them
because they're warned not to go up against higher up. But you didn't play that game. You didn't play the ranking game. You didn't heard you can't go against a general, or you can't go against a 5-star this person. That ain't what the script told us. The script told us if an angel from heaven come down there and say something to you that ain't lawful, you better count him a curse. Let alone some Negro down here sneaking in the back of a chicken shack.
Yeah, man.
And that's a supernatural entity or being that may come to you. You tell, what did you just say? Are you a fallen angel? You must be talking that kind of foolishness.
Right.
Get away around her. You have to tell an angel that.
That's right.
So what you look like bowing, kneecaps hitting the dust because some Negro come in and he had to go get a rope because he to the last buckle or hole on his belt. He can't discipline himself, and you jumping up talking about this the third from heaven, this came from heaven in that shape?
Right.
You ain't never seen a fat slave. And you think this what these angels, sharp as they are, coming down here, they got eating problems.
Right.
He didn't say nothing about chicken.
Right. Look, he heard chicken and he got offended. But we just, that's Theo, y'all. Let's get it, y'all. Let's get caught up.
And this day shall be unto you for a memorial.
For what?
A memorial.
How often do you do memorials? When is Memorial Day, y'all? Look, once a how many days? Once a year. Let's go.
And ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generation.
Right.
And ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever.
By an ordinance, y'all, that means there's a statute and a judgment concerning it. So that's why I say let no man judge you, because it's set with a statute and judgment, not commandments of men, statutes and judgments. You don't care what they talking about, the root word mean this, or if you go to the Hebrew on that. Law is law, ain't it?
Yes, sir.
If it say don't eat it, what root word you gonna go to say, yes, it don't mean that, go right ahead.
Tastes like chicken.
It tastes like chicken, that's what's gonna happen.
That's the root word.
Where we at, bro? Go ahead.
7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread.
How many days?
7 days.
If you go to someone else's Passover, understand this, y'all. We're not saying if you went over there 2 days later after you doing that, but you have to say, bro, I'm into feast. I'm into day 3 of my feast of unleavened bread. Y'all just got started yesterday. Well, I'm still into day 3. You still have to keep your count. You can't start over. All what you into is a buddy picnicking day for you. That's all it means to you. You'll go to anybody that's having one. You're still into Christianity, but it's just Hebrew Christianity, because you're bouncing around like you do at Christmas time, going from house to house, till you finally get to the house that got chitlins.
Party over here. Party over there.
Party over there. You know, where you going next, man? Man, gonna stop over there, man. They have it set out. It's just a party for you. If you go right to another one the next day and you know where your count is at, you can't go through another Passover meal like you did yours a day or 2 ago. You into 2 of them. That means you finna, if you 2 days into your unleavened bread and you start with them, you got 9 days in now. What are you doing? That's why I say you have houses to eat in. Right. If it get to this point, if you just scouring the neighborhood, making phone calls and trying to see where it's at, you just stopped at this one yesterday and now you're gonna stop at this one 2 days down the road.
Y'all cooking over there?
Y'all cooking over there, man. What? And ain't nobody asked what day are y'all into on the bread. What day are you into, brother? Well, man, we did it last Saturday, so I'm 4 days in. Well, okay, we into day 2. You come on in, make sure you stay on your day 4 or whatever it is. You can't participate in nothing on day 1. So, you know, all of the lamb process that we going through and different things. Now, you can eat some more lamb if you over there on their first night. They just can't. You got to remember that. Or do you take a stumbling block over there with your take home a sack? Because you can eat it later. They have to burn theirs, right? Yo, we can't play games like that just to hang around so you can eat and swallow wine.
Swallow wine.
Swallow wine. Swallow wine. Swallow wine. That's your whole objective. That's why you there. You wasting your time with this, y'all.
Yeah.
Let's read some more.
15. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel.
If you think that means just eating this cracker and don't eat it and go get you some Wonder Bread or some of them Hawaiian rolls in them 7 days, oh Lord have mercy, I'm gonna be cut off. You already cut off because you telling us you don't even know what priesthood you in.
Right.
We're the priesthood of Messiah. He's the unblemished lamb. He's the Lamb of God. John introduced him, didn't he? He said, behold, who? The Lamb of God.
Yeah.
What you still thinking about this old way and you thinking that's what it's about, and this still muddied up. Wasting your time, y'all. Go ahead. What else you say?
Also, people I know have asked the questions, does it mean we're supposed to literally, for 7 days, at least take a bite of unleavened bread? No, it's saying that if you eat bread during these 7 days, it has to be unleavened.
It has to be. It ain't, and see, the Most High don't take nothing from us. He never took bread from us, did he?
No.
All he just said, you just got to take the leavening out of whatever bread you eat. You can still eat bread. It's just void of leavening. Now, when you start bringing in, well, yeast is in this and yeast in that, I've seen yeast in that. Well, if you look up extract yeast, it says it has no leavening qualities in it.
You got yeast in you.
You got yeast in you. How you get that out? Yeah.
How you gonna get that out?
Right. So y'all, we have to stick with what the records say. Once we start adding or taking away, you're adding and ain't got enough leavening in there sometimes. So you can play that game with yourself all you want. But the scripture is serious about what it says. For 7 days, no leavening. For at least 7 days on the spiritual side, you cannot allow bad doctrine to creep into you. I don't care what's happening.
Right.
If you lose focus for just a second, you lose focus that quick and you be biting on a Krispy Kreme. As quick as he was talking about the Mountain Dew, think about how quick your mind will snap and you'll forget you in that week and you go back to your hate. What? Who called? No damn well they ain't said. Lord forgive me, it's the feast. If you have to keep begging forgiveness like that, you did not get your heart prepped before the week started.
Right.
Before the feast started. And he said, I'm gonna give you a few days to get your heart right.
That's right.
So I can pass over you. So you can come. Look, the Passover gives you the ticket into the Feast of Unleavened Bread. If you don't have a ticket and you in the feast, how you get in there?
Right.
How do we get in feast ain't got no ticket?
Right.
Sneaking in.
What we do?
Sneaking in.
Back door. Side door. The hookup.
Come late. Come late with nobody at the door. Just
Look, right.
Yeah,
Ease in.
Yeah, like you been there
Look,
already.
I'm talking about sliding along the wall like you part of the wallpaper, then stop if somebody see you. You come to the Passover with this food. Yo, we had a couple like that. They used to wait to the end, and then when we like, no, we see you right there. You ain't part of that design.
You don't see me.
Right. We see you. You know, and then they got mad because all they had to do was just say, hey, well, what can I do? Or can I help clean up at the end? Got mad and say, well, I don't want to come in anyway. You got
doing?
corn in there.
Right. What you doing?
Well, you knew corn was in here when you was on the wall like this.
it was good until you got caught.
Boy, look here.
You want to sneak in where the corn is.
Most High say that's free. How you gonna steal free?
Right.
Let's get some more. Where we at?
16. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation. And in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation.
And so the holy convocation is the breaking of bread. So remember, on the 15th day of evening, we broke the bread and drank the wine. Today is a holy convocation. We finish it off like that. Yes, you ate it all throughout the week with your meal, but a convocation with the assembly as one body, y'all. We have to end the feast the way we started it. Is that understood good? Okay, any questions so far? Any more questions out there? Go ahead, bro.
Shadow reorganizing the question they asked again. You're basically saying, should a person be done away with if discovered that they are into tarot cards and etc., but they are pleased to dwell and believe in Yah?
Well, see, that's oxymoron. They can't be pleased to dwell and into dark side. You know, you can't love two masters.
Right.
You either gonna hate one or you gonna love the other. So tarot cards, if they please to dwell with you, they're not pleased to dwell with you. They're trying to conquer your spirit with tarot cards, because that's what they're is guiding that way. When somebody pleads to dwell with you, they don't interrupt your relationship with the Most High. They will not interrupt, because it's saying your conversation with the Most High wins them over. If you allowing tarot cards, you ain't winning nothing. You finna get won over. Because leavening is there. That's leavening of the Pharisees. That's another way to talk to the spiritual world, ain't it? So they say. Look, we throw foes up. What's up on the Miss Rudolph? She got 5 up, don't she? She ain't with us.
No.
Where we at?
Verse 16 again. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation. And in the seventh day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you.
So you see, even though this looked as a Sabbath, because we're on the high Sabbath day, it say the only work you can do is to eat. He said, I'm not going to force you. And if eat means preparation, you got to prep the food, don't you?
Yeah.
He said, that's the only qualification you meet. You got to get ready to get it eat. So in like manner, for your heart, you got to eat spiritually. This day, it can't be just eating. You have to continually to study the Bible so it becomes holy to you, that you don't wait on the Passover for feasting.
Right.
Because you'll find yourself searching the internet, where can I go? Right. Where can I go? And you'll go somewhere and accept any behavior just so you can go.
Yeah.
Y'all, we don't want to feast like that, y'all.
No.
Because it's going to have you smiling and you're really not happy. You're just happy of what you see.
Feel like you accomplished.
You accomplished, so you got the wrong happiness, y'all. You're happy, you're waiting for the key word. Swallow wine. What you said that? It's about to start. It's finna start.
So smiling faces don't
Boy, look here.
I'm singing that song.
Go ahead.
Okay, my hand.
Go ahead, bro.
Yeah.
17.
Uh-huh.
And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever.
By an ordinance. So y'all no need to argue or fight with people. There's an ordinance. See, you don't have to fight about that. It didn't say there's a word etymology. An ordinance. That's a statute. That's a judgment. It relates to a law. So you don't have to argue with nobody. You just have to be Colossians 2:16, to where you can explain. If somebody come to you, you can say, well, according to the ordinance, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. The only thing they can do is reproof you and help you out, like Priscilla and Aquila did for Apollos. They showed him a more perfect way. One saying he was off point, you just helped somebody out. But if you doing it like this, see there I go, look at that. See, I told you. Down at the serious bed, them niggas half crazy. You doing it on the wrong day. See, that's why we doing today. And there you go, that quick, wondering why they doing it on that day. Man, is we supposed to be doing it on this day? I heard somebody, what the hell do we care about what day they were doing it? Was you paying attention when we was going over this? Why didn't you tell them why we come to the conclusion we are? At least you can come back and tell us this where we erred at, according to the ordinance. But if you just call it, man, they say we doing on the wrong, and what else did they say? Just that. Oh, okay. So you feel like you done missed something then. You feeling you done missed out on theirs? What you feeling? What you got to buy?
Alfreda Watson asks, what do you do when you're by yourself? She's talking about the assembling part. You got nobody to assemble with, you just by yourself.
You always with the Messiah. See, this is what we talking about, the priesthood of Melchizedek. You always got him with you if you have to do it home solo on yourself. Look, if you're running through an unclean period, and it's going to be the same thing 30 days, you still are not excused from doing the Passover. You still have to do it. You still have to do it if you're a conscious Israelite and you're in the penitentiary. You still have to do it. Right? You can break bread and drink wine. You can do it Most High say spiritually. He said that's what I'm looking for first anyway.
Right.
But then you make provisions, right, to have crackers sent to you in commissary. Hell, if they could send you Cheetos, I know they could send you some matzo crackers to the pokey. And what's the hooch called there?
Pruno.
Pruno. Get your little Pruno wine. Make sure it's good. It's clean wine.
Ain't gonna take but a sip.
Ain't gonna take but a sip. Got your crackers there. You with your group, but you may have to do this solo. But the Most High never put a provision in there and saying you don't have to do it. You have to do it. You must do it even if it's solo. Get yourself, with something, and you saying it's me and you. The spirit is us tonight. We got to go solo. Or like you saying, we're doing it now so we wanted to get in the Holy Convocation part in today while we're online with everybody. If you're online, if you still got any wine or any crackers left, get the short leggers out, get them a little juice, you know, get your little wine, y'all, and here, right after we read these scriptures, we'll go through the breaking of bread again to get to end the 7th day Holy Convocation. Just like we started at the Passover, everybody lift a cup and wine. We have to do it again to end the feast. Y'all, it's rules and it's regulations. It's not hard for us to continue to keep fighting about it, y'all. We have a whole year to get this understood, you know, because if you ask that same, Zeb need one?
I have some.
Okay. If you ask that same individual what day is Halloween on, they'll tell you the date and what time it starts and what ingredients you need to perform Halloween. They'll tell you exactly what you need for Christmas, won't they?
Yep.
They'll tell you exactly what you need. You need lights, you need all of this, you need all of that to do that holy day. Why are we still struggling with what we're supposed to do on a day that don't require you having to go out and buy nobody nothing? You don't have to get tangled up in that. You don't have to think, well, I ain't got enough money, I'm finna rob somebody for some unleavened bread. You ain't got to do none of that. Because the Most High say, all I want y'all to do is feast and enjoy yourself and have good conversation. You can do that when you're in the right spirit.
And remember me.
But if anybody's in there in Isaiah 58 spirit, where you're in there for strife and debate, nobody's going to eat. Because soon as you hear the chaos, no, we got something, Mom. Soon as you hear the chaos, everybody looking over that way, right? Mm-hmm. You know, food is being put into go packets because you cannot feast when you're angry. I don't care who you are. Even if you cooked a meal and an argument started, you like, no, I just can't eat right now. I'm too upset. So y'all, we can't go into feast days with strife and debate or have strife and debate at the feast day. Look, why are you there without your scripture? What are you going to teach today? See, all that shenanigans and pulling books out your pocket and got a gathering over in the corner mean you didn't sign up for set up a cleanup work.
Right.
You think we need that work here. No, that ain't the work we need. Put them books back in your pockets and back in your bag. And look, there's a filled up trash can over there. Look, sister need help with that cooler right there. We need a few chairs out here. Put them chairs out. Well, I took 2. How you 2 chairs? Right. Boy, look here.
Put some grease on them.
Where we at, man? 16?
I'm down. They did that. We supposed to go wherever you want to go.
Did you finish 17? You finished 17. Okay. So y'all, I just wanted that to clear up what we need to do. So y'all, while we just finished up the feast, the 7th day of the Holy Convocation, y'all, we have to do it again to end it. So if y'all got your crackers out there, put a 7 in there to the worldwide audience. You need some crackers. You need crackers, y'all. Good. And y'all, and we go right to that Matthew, bro, if you will. Ariel, if you will, what is that? Matthew, 26, where the Messiah said, "Take, eat. This is my body." Y'all, we'll close out, and then start winding down. Start winding down. Winding down don't mean get Domino's on the phone. Winding down don't mean call up, what's that other one, Grubhub. Mm-hmm. Look, and then got you doing the Grubhub dance, waiting for them till they get there at the door. I thought you wasn't gonna never get here.
As soon as that sun's down, you better be in my door.
Where we at, y'all? You ready, bro?
17 through 30.
Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
All right, I got it. All right, family, we're going to be reading in the book of Matthew, chapter 26. I'm going to start that reading in verse 17.
Yes, sir.
You standing for this?
I was, but you said we're going down to 17.
17, we'll start at 17?
17 to 26?
Yeah. No, I just want you to get right to the part where he's saying, okay, let's start at 26.
17 to 30 is what it is, but...
Right. No, we won't just start at 26, y'all. We ain't got to...
Hey, you took the cup?
Yeah. Verse 26.
17 then 27.
Y'all want to hit verse 17 and then just go down and we'll go 26 down.
Yo,
We're in Matthew chapter 26. We just gonna read verse 17, and then we're gonna go down to verse 26, and we're gonna just do the holy convocation to end the feast. You know, but technically, y'all, we're still under it until twilight, until the sun hits. We should be free of anything else, you know, concerning the 7 days of unleavened bread, because sundown starts a new day. You cannot have anything. You can't say, let me finish this last bite at sundown, because you're going over the mark. It ends where it starts.
Yes, sir.
Shalom, y'all. Y'all better come on, man. We're just about to get in on this.
Yeah.
What did you got there? Grub? Look like you been to Grub Hub. No, okay, that's the most stuff.
You can't wait till the sun
Boy,
goes.
look here.
Y'all go and grab y'all some crackers.
Get y'all some crackers real quick, y'all. We're gonna close on out this feast, yeah. Yeah. Hey, y'all, look, it's a pan back there with 2 little cups. It should be plenty crackers right out here, y'all. We're gonna get this on going real quick. Y'all tarry with us. We're just waiting on a few brothers.
Right there, the pan is right there. They got wine in it right here.
On the end of the
Yeah,
ball.
the count.
You crackers, yeah, crackers over there too. So get that, y'all. Yeah, right there. Y'all, and see, and what we're talking about obedience, like the church does it, but they switch the name. They call it the sacrament or whatever, and they do it on the first, second, third Sunday. What is it called? Communion. So if you can do it first, second, and third, and he say do this as oft as you think of me, well, we would have to break bread at least 24 hours a day, because you should be thinking about the Messiah that minute. But he didn't tell you. He said it's a memorial. You don't do it first, second, or third Sunday. You do it once a year. All you have, I mean, for this feast, for 7 days. Now, if somebody stopped by your house, you can always break unleavened bread in this, because it wasn't a feast of unleavened bread when Melchizedek met Abraham.
Right.
And he broke and he did this, but it's to bring you into the fold of hospitality. Y'all, if this all you need for hospitality, then it's telling you ain't got to have the fatted calf out there. Y'all, this brings you into the brotherhood. Simple piece of flour and wheat and just a taste of wine brings you into the, is that expensive, y'all?
No.
But see, on them holidays, somebody gonna get you a fur coat, and then you gonna show up with a toaster with the initials BL on there. I know damn well this didn't come from Big Lots. I bought you a fur stove, and this what I get. And it looked like it's been returned because it's missing a leg.
Right.
You ready?
Y'all
all right,
ready?
y'all, let's get it, y'all.
We're in the book of Matthew chapter 26 and verse 17.
What it say?
Now the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yeshua, saying unto him, where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover?
So when he explained it to them, look, the room already ready. Y'all ain't got nothing. They just set it up. Servers got it hooked up. Don't worry about none of that. Let's get down to verse 26.
Verse 26. And as they were eating, Yeshua took bread and blessed it and brake it.
See, and this was going on. The meal had already started. The Passover meal had already started. Remember, they had asked, where should we eat the Passover? So that part started. But in the middle of that, you stop them so that they don't get like they think they're at the Golden Corral. You like, remember, we have a responsibility about eating tonight, because somebody jaws will be swollen up like chipmunks with pool balls in them. With what? Crackers. Who passing out the crackers? What? No, they stopped so that he could give them more understanding. Y'all, we need to get into a covenant so we know we just ain't here picnicking. Where we at?
Yeshua took bread and blessed it and brake it.
Right.
And gave it to the disciples and said, take, eat, this is my body.
So y'all, let's take a bite, eat. Brings us into the body of Messiah. We're into 1 Corinthians 12th chapter. The body of Messiah. 1 Corinthians 12th chapter. It tells you the body of Messiah. And Galatians is the fruit of the Spirit. It's the law and the ordinance that go with that same subject matter. What else to say, bro?
And when you bite, it will suck all this moisture out of your mouth.
Go with.
So hurry. And he took the cup And he gave thanks and and gave it to them, saying, drink ye all of it.
Do what?
Drink ye all of it.
Drink ye all of it.
For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many.
What is it the blood for?
For the New Testament,
right?
Which is shed for many for the remission of sin.
For the remission of sin. So it's clearing out any animal blood, anything like that that you would sacrifice. This is for the New Testament. It said for the Melchizedek order. This is how it goes from henceforth. If you thinking it's got to do with any of that other stuff, you're misled. That's just symbolic, y'all. Because for one, the FDA ain't let no just sell you a full goat like that with the head on it and all the whole nine without them attacking some parts of it. But if you put more stock in that beast than you do in the Messiah, you know, that's what he's saying. Anybody can go out and get a lamb. But what does it mean right here? Is it just, you know, I'll get the lamb, you get the wine type of thing?
Right.
Wasting your time. Anything else out there too bad? Everybody good with this understanding, y'all. The feast is not over. The feast tells you to get ready for cutoff when the street lights come on. When twilight happens, that little space or time between sunlight and pure darkness or sundown. We get a space in between that, and it's called mercy.
Thank you, Creator.
There's no way you can say I was caught short on anything. It tells you the same thing when you get up in the morning. There's a break between the two great lights. Look, the only problem with that break of daylight on the morning side is you racing it trying to get home because you've been out all night. Wrong thought process on that one. Because you can't outrun it. The speed of light is 187,000 miles per second. That's how fast light travels. You driving even if you're driving a Hemi, it's only 260 horses. Can't do nothing with the power or the speed of light. Where we at? Any more questions before we get on a subject matter? If they don't have any topics that they want to go over, y'all, it's freestyle. So ask questions that's on your heart, mind, or soul, y'all. And we'll get at them. If not, we're going to go over some mercy that the Most High showed us in this Passover. Because he's passed over us, y'all. We still able to come down here in fellowship. You know, and if we got the blood on the doorpost of our heart, y'all, that's where he wanted at. Anybody got any questions? Anybody, what you got over there?
So when it says no buying and selling on the Sabbath, exactly does that mean about no buying and selling?
Well, no buying or selling. You got to look at priesthood. What priesthood? Next thing I ask, what priesthood we on? What priesthood you speaking of from? You know, if you say from Aaron, then no. If you practicing from that way, you spinning your wheels. But no, you cannot go to the store on that day. But according to the Messiah, he said, Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Tell me what that means. See, that's what I always ask people, because he say, look, your oxen fell in the hole. I saw you roll your sleeves up and get it out. You doing some work, ain't you? The priests profane the Sabbath every week and are blameless. How is that possible? How do you not exclude or exclude the priests in your conversation of talking about no work? They still have to sacrifice. You think sinning ain't going on the Sabbath? More sinning is going on the Sabbath than a little bit. So the priests got to be ready for all that Sabbath sinning. And so what are they doing then? Are they working? They got to slay it. They got to put it on the fire. Is that work?
Yes, sir.
And they're blameless according to Numbers 28. That's the same thing he asked about David. What did David do when he ate the showbread? There's rules. The Most High will never put you in a position that where you may be caught short and you have to eat. Just like we read the conversation, he said, save to eat. You can go to the store if you're hungry. Proverbs 20:6. If a thief steals to satisfy his soul, you cannot despise him. You can't holler out, you hungry? No, put that damn apple back. If you see him bite that apple and spinning it like he in a log spinning contest on some water, you like, shit, he hungry as hell. Why would you put him down at that point? You see hunger is overwhelming. You can put your hand in there if you want to. You're going to draw back just enough. The way he biting on that corn on the cob or apple. But the script don't let him off the hook. It say you must repay sevenfold. Yep. You just ain't gonna get a license to steal, but you get a license to save your soul if you're hungry. The Most High make a way for that. But he's not gonna make a way for you just to break the law no other way. So there's rules. He's already looked down the line in case we find ourselves in a position that where we can't grow certain things. Because what you gonna do, you live in an apartment. What kind of lamb you gonna have out back? You think it's gonna be there with all them cars parked back there? Park your lamb behind your apartment building if you want to. Tie it up back there and see where it be when you go back out.
Somebody got a new pit bull.
It'll be at market.
Boy, look, you know where it'll be. It'll be at market, like you say. So, any other questions out there? Emo, you got a question?
Yes. So, when I was taught when we were communities and we would take our community, he says to count up all whether you're worthy to take communion, and if you're not, don't do it.
Well, see, it could be man-made words on 1 Corinthians 11. If we will, let's hit that, drink this cup unworthy. See, so what we're talking about, Emo, is that commandments of men come in and then they change the instructions because they don't know the difference in the switch of the priesthood. They know we're not supposed to be sacrificing animals anymore, but they don't understand what Paul was talking about when he was saying the Messiah is the Lamb of God. What John was telling y'all, y'all had to pay attention to that. This is the Lamb of God. Everything, all your focus must be on him. All your total belief. If you still believe I can cut the throat of a cow and that'll save me better than he can, then your trust is still in bulls and goats. So Hebrew 9 break that down so clearly of what Paul was talking about. So yes, you know, people will change language on you. That's why you always have to study to show who approved? Thyself approved.
Unto God.
Unto God. All you have to do is say, man, show me where it says that word for word. See, that's why we have to explain when we even talk about the bitter herb. There's no scripture to say the bitter herb will remind you of the bondage. It says it must be eaten with the meal. And yes, because it's bitter, and yes, because the bread is without leavening, because everything is in haste. It has a haste portion to it, but just to identify it, we just say it's part of the meal. You know, could it be that? Yes, it could be that, but if somebody asks you for just the language of it, the two scriptures of it, I haven't seen them. I'm not saying nobody else haven't, but I have not seen them in there where it says it will remind you of the hard bondage of Egypt.
Another question for you.
Go ahead.
Now, Corey Conyer asked.
We got to finish the last question. What? We got to finish the last question.
Oh, you want to get that 1 Corinthians 11?
Yeah.
Real quick, let us finish Emo. Real quick, and then we'll get to the next one.
We just read the part about eating the bread and drinking the cup, so I'm going to continue from that in the 1 Corinthians 11 with 26. Say, for as often as ye eat this bread.
Hold on. You went kind of fast.
Do 24, 25.
We're going to 1 Corinthians.
That's why I said we just did that.
1 Corinthians. We're going to start at 23.
Okay.
I tell you what, let's back it up so we understand about the partying, the house partying. So just verse 20. 20, we'll go 20.
Okay.
1 Corinthians 11, verse 20, and it's pertaining to the question Emo asked concerning the cup. And y'all, the cup is, this is what he's saying. My cup has rules to it. This is how you do it, and you do it once a year. If you're getting another cup and it says you can do it on second Sunday, you can do it on third Sunday, that's not the cup that the Bible is speaking of, because it don't say that anywhere. It says you can break bread at any time, but there's no set time that when you may get a visitor that come visiting you and you got break bread. You got like, what, bro, can you just wait till next week, man? Actually, you'll be right on time then for communion in the second month in the week. Can you just come next? No, it's not designed that way. Because you always hear both those prophets say, any stranger that walk by, I said, hey, you hungry? Come on, put your feet up. And then you can continue on your journey. The states do it, y'all. It's on every side of the highway. It's called a rest what?
Stop.
It's a rest stop, and what else in there? All the information about the city is in there. Maps, everything. It tells you where to go, where not to go. It's a big X on Coke Brilliant and Martin Luther King. Don't go there.
It says you are here.
There's a check mark. Right, there's a check mark for Ladue right next to the courthouse. You can go there because we're waiting on some clients.
I hate the rectangle on there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So y'all, all of those things introduce you to the state of Missouri. Over and over, it's called a welcome center, ain't it? So in like manner, y'all, we have a welcome center in our heart for our brothers to come in. This don't mean you let them come in and they start putting up pictures of their family. And where you say my room at? It's for a day or two. If they stay in more than 3 weeks, they need to pay rent. Ain't nobody ever just stay until you feel like going. That ain't in the scripture. It ain't recorded that you do that type of work. That's camp mentality. That's Freemason teaching that brings a brother into your home. That's how you try his fate. You bring him in and let him live with you. The problem is you freeloading.
Right.
Your name ain't on the lease at this house, and then you invite another Negro up in here?
Right.
Yeah, bro, you gonna get the couch, but I already explained to her it's a brother thing. You know, we have to house one of them. That ain't in the scripture.
Right.
That's commandments of men. He done had them socks on for 3 days, and you offering this couch?
Commandments of broke men.
Boy, look here. Where you at, Ariel?
I just saw a story that a lady rented an Airbnb and decided she wanted to stay, so she claimed squatters' rights, and they had to go through all this stuff to get her out of there. You know, you leasing your house out for Airbnb. She decided, I like this place. I'm staying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we right here at 1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 20.
Hold it down, y'all.
When ye come together, therefore, into one place, this is not to eat the Lord's supper. For in eating, everyone taketh before others his own supper, and one is hungry, and another is drunken.
Another is what?
Drunken.
See, when you got in your mind it's just a picnic, somebody's gonna be hungry because somebody gonna come in and start attacking violently. They got there right, they timed it just perfect. And they got in line first. Look, I see the sisters putting on their aprons. Wait a minute, wait just a minute. What else going on? Yeah, it look like I see them hitting spoons off the pan and yeah. Come on, let's get in there. And they in line first. You get up there and you like, wait a minute, all of it's gone? And I'm talking about they telling you doing like this, giving that, to put some more on there. Plate this big, look like it need railings on the side of it to hold the food in. And then you come up, and then the other one just came through like this. Swallow wine, swallow wine. And you got to walk them to the car. Swallow wine. Get on in here, get in here. You got to walk to the car, pants unzipped in the front, you know. Friend just stuck down in that room. It's just a hot mess. Come on, let's get some more. What else to say?
Verse 22. What? Have ye not have houses to eat and drink in? Or despise ye the church of God?
Or despise ye the church of God? You just come down here, that's your motive. All your high-fiving is, your belly is rumbling. And that's all you gonna think about it. That will be all the eating you get up here. You'll be just like you was at church. You're buying bread that don't satisfy. You be like, boy, that man sure preached today. What he preach about? You know, I don't know. If you leave here and say, you know, boy, that was good. Boy, they had that menorah lit and they was biting on some crackers. And what was they talking about? You know, I don't know. That's a problem.
I'm still trying to figure out what a menorah is.
Right. Go ahead, bro.
And shame them that have not. What shall I say to you? Shall I praise you in this? I praise you not.
Right.
For I have received of the Lord that which also I delivered unto you, that the Lord Jesus, The same night in which he was betrayed took bread.
See, even in the same night he was betrayed, he didn't break what he was assigned to do. He kept with his covenant. Y'all look, the death angel is around us every second. We have to stay with the covenant. The death angel is there. Enticers are there. Backstabbers are there. But you got to stay on point. If you stay on point, none of this could ease in on you. Let's read some more. Yeah.
And when he had given thanks, he brake it and said, "Take, eat. This is my body, which is broken for you. Do this do in remembrance of me."
Do what?
This do in remembrance of me. After the same manner also he took the cup, when he had supped, saying, "This cup is the New Testament in my blood. This do ye, as oft as ye drink it, in remembrance of me."
See, and oft as you drink it in remembrance of me. So we know we got to do it automatically at one time, right? But if a stranger come and you break bread, it has to be only in remembrance of him.
Right.
Second, third, fourth Sunday, who is that in remembrance of?
Right.
Especially if the doctrine teaching that his mother is more holier than him. You drinking from the wrong cup.
Yeah.
You got Nick Rose believe that the Messiah was born of a roll in the hay of Joseph, his daddy. You can't drink out of that cup. If you drink out of that cup, shame on you.
Right. Right.
You there for the party.
Right. And there's a price tag attached to that as well.
What are you drinking that for? It's to symbolize his blood, not to raise your blood alcohol content level. Because see, it's the spirit of Messiah. If you just go in there for that, your counselor, it's going to be your cabinet members.
But see, now I don't want to interrupt you, but I always find it puzzling, to say the least, that if these brothers don't believe on Hamashiach, how can you even keep the Passover?
It's like Muslims that do Christmas.
Right.
It's the same thing. They're just, because the world is doing it, we don't care what doctrine we do it too. You like, what you doing Christmas for? You'll see different factions doing other people's religion. I mean, holy days or whatever, folly days, I should say. How are you tied up in that? And your Bible is saying something different. Your Quran is saying something different. What is you doing involved in this? But that's what happened when you get into Hebrew Christianity. It's the same thing when they mix all that in together and say, we all Israelites. Well, do we go to the strip club after Passover too? Because that brother doing, you saying we all lumped together.
Right. Seemeth good to me.
Right, and then they in there, if you listening to it, he asked, are you single? I hope she's single when I can see all of her rear end, all of it. What man is she married to that knows she at work like that? She was at work.
Right, at work.
See, I don't think women understand that men don't want everything that they can see.
Absolutely.
They want at least, and my husband, my sons, my uncles, they always say, we don't want something we can see. We want something that we can imagine, and no one else has put their hands on.
If you find something, not to cut you off, Emo, it says the man that findeth a wife find a good thing. You don't see her from you found her because that's what I've been looking for. It's then manifest to you, but it just ain't a smorgasbord of it. That what you can see, because then that's the lust of the eye, because you're only looking down.
Right.
Everything is viewed down. She can have a pretty face, but it ain't complete until you watch her walk away. Yeah, that's a trifecta. Pretty face and thick round the waist. Oh, that's it. Why does that have to make the decision for you?
Right. It's called nothing left to be desired.
Boy,
if you see it all up front, there's nothing
left to be desired.
You done seen it all, and everybody else.
Look, the Messiah say, blessed is he that have not seen, right?
Yes.
And do what? And believe. You ain't seen it. It's a hope that it's going to be there. Do I have to see it to believe it? And that's what's happening. That's why a lot of people are falling off, because they have to see it. And when they have to see a Messiah, they'll look at an individual who they think fit the bill. Well, he close enough. He's a blemished lamb.
Right. If
this Negro fingernails are still dirty from chicken grease, he's not third in heaven. He didn't even wash his fingernails out.
Right.
What you got, Imam?
And another question, another thing I think the scriptures say you can come in, it says about the conversation. If your conversation is not
Righteous.
upright, or if it's all,
Jacked up, yeah.
you see what I'm saying? That kind, what do you think he's, what do they say? If an unrighteous man picks an unrighteous woman, then he picks one just like himself.
Right.
But if a righteous man,
Right.
that's it.
But look, in the book of Sirach it says a wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man.
Yeah.
That don't mean, because people run that to the gamut. Well, if your woman wicked, then you got to be. It don't mean that. It says as a portion to a wicked man. A wicked man practices sin. So that's the tip off to understand what wicked is. Wicked is practice sinning. That's what makes you wicked. You go from sinning to wicked. Wicked means I likes to do that. I loves to do it. It's something about that sin just so wickedly sweet to me. That's why it's called wickedness.
Right, insatiable.
It's sinning that's practiced now.
Yes.
A wicked woman is given to a man who's practicing sin in his life. Women come by and catch a man off guard like Proverbs 7. Let's say a man short of understanding, he don't know the rules, he may have been sleeping in class, and she slide up on him. And then she bring the information to him, and they say before he know it, a dart goes through his heart. He's not necessarily a wicked man, it's just a woman who's out on a lust hunt, caught him tripping, walking down the street, wasn't on his game.
Didn't have his full armor on.
Didn't have his full armor on, she got him. But a wicked woman is given to a wicked man as a portion. Wicked man means he's practicing sin. He won't acknowledge it. He'll make an excuse for it.
Yes.
That's what that show is called, For My Man.
Oh boy, look here.
They turn him out. It's called For My Man. It's a wicked man who get a woman and turned her wicked to do his deeds.
Right. And there she robbed the bank with him by driving the getaway car through. Life is ruined.
She get caught.
One time and you done, and you ruined because he's practicing wickedness. They'll tell you she thought he was a man that loved her and desired her, and they show him, you know, with their arms like this with wine and sipping like that. But she was fooled because underneath he had a rap sheet thicker than a phone book. He was currently on charges then of breaking into a fast food restaurant, and you like this, and the next thing you know, he got you hemmed up. He's practicing wickedness, and he just used that element of wickedness on one that may have be in the same mindset. Because there's some women out here now, y'all, are setting men up. He got a little money. I'm gonna put him out. It's gonna either be 2 or 20 minutes, probably 2, and then I'll unlock the back door for you. And when you come in there, he's snoring, blowing spit bubbles.
Think he done did something?
Hey, but bro,
hold on real quick, y'all. This goes with piggybacking off something Daniel said and go along with the question that Ariel had asked about not understanding. Y'all know that there was a new car shooting, killing at the Capitol, U.S. Capitol yesterday. I'm like, I didn't pay no attention to it at all. Didn't care about it. But I had the YouTube news on today. They showed that it was a brother that was the driver that ran into the car and killed that police officer. I'm like, okay, he done flipped out. You know, that's not surprising to me either. But they showed his Facebook post, his last one. And he said, now this is where it goes with Ariel, asking the question of how and why and how these people do these things. This cat said that he was a student, not a member, but a student of Minister Farrakhan, the Sinister's teachings.
Right.
So he listed the Sinister first, then Jesus Christ, then Elijah Moham sandwich after that, and said that I believe in Allah. So there you go right there. There's the confusion.
Well,
Jesus Christ don't go in that mix.
Well, look, and this what we're talking to is commandments of men, because the true Muslims, the Sunni and the Shiites, Ishmaelites, don't believe nothing about the Nation of Islam. They don't know what it is. It's an offshoot like Prince Hall Freemasonry. There's the Scottish and the York Rite. The Prince Hall is a black faction made up. Just like Nation of Islam is a black faction made up for the Muslims. They don't recognize. So Farrakhan probably, when they saying this boy didn't attack the Capitol and he with the Nation of Islam, he probably in that Malcolm X pose with his pistol looking out that mansion.
Yep, they're coming to get me.
Because they gonna link it to him. Now they finna bring up all his doctrine of hate white folks.
Yep.
Yo, and that's all we talking about. But finish this up, bro. I just want to finish that because we keep breaking ranks. I just want
Verse
you to
26.
finish that out.
Verse 26.
1 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 26.
For as often as ye eat this bread and drink this cup, ye do show the Lord's death till he comes.
See, you show his death, not his resurrection that they're going to do tomorrow. It's called Resurrection Sunday. It don't do this. We're supposed to show his death, the sacrifice he made for us. He said, you do this till I come back. That's why he said in the other script, Matthew, he said, I won't drink this cup with you no more till I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. That's right. So the Messiah is going into what we call a Nazarite. He's following the Nazarite law now, Numbers 6 chapter, because he's not going to drink any more wine. He's not going to do any more of that until he comes back. He's going to break that Nazarite vow. I won't drink any more wine till I drink it with y'all new in the kingdom. But y'all keep doing this to me till I come back. So that's where it came in, pour out a little wine for your homie, but that ain't in our instruction.
Right.
That was added in for commandments of men. But it says, do this till I come back. Do the memorial till I come back, to honor my death. When is his death talked about? On what feast day? The Passover. It said the instructions are clear. It didn't say do it on the second, third, or fourth Wednesday or Sunday in the month. Don't do it. That's somebody else's doctrine of their cup. It may sound like this, but it's not this. Let's read some more of this.
And the difference between him and us is the fact that we know he's not sitting up there talking about, whew, Lord, I can't wait to give me another drink of wine.
Right.
Like us.
No.
Talking about 1 week.
No.
Of fiending for the things that we are missing this week that our soul lusts after. That we're waiting for sundown tonight to be able to go and pile it all back on because we just took a week break.
Because it's right, and that's what it means. Another will be drunk. Because soon as the hit and you put 2 bottles of whiskey in your mouth like this and go to work, glug, 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 glug. Well, I never thought that week was gonna be over. It's a problem already. Because that's grievous to you. Why would he make me stop for a week?
Right.
Let's read some more. Let's finish this out. What it say?
Wherefore whosoever shall eat this bread and drink this cup of the Lord unworthily. Unworthily shall be guilty of the body and blood of the Lord.
So you're going to be guilty of putting him to death like the Romans. You're guilty of that because you don't take no stock in it. You just like, oh, well, I join in. Everybody else doing it. I might as well.
Right.
Go ahead. What else to say?
But let a man examine himself.
Let a man do what?
Examine himself.
So we're in Colossians 2:16 now. Let no man judge you. You're examining yourself. Go ahead.
And so let him eat of that bread and drink of that cup. For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth and drinketh damnation to himself.
To himself. See,
himself.
we ain't gonna have no truth checker at the door.
Right.
And then where you walk, whoop, 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 lying, he's lying, fringes, they're fake, whoop, 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 whoop. Ain't none of that. All we can just tell you, if you drink this unworthily, if you here and got another cup on your mind, you gonna drink damnation to yourself, and we ain't pronouncing no curse on you. You doing it yourself, because we're telling you before we lift it. If you're not down with this, if your palate is just thirsty for it,
You ain't been seen since the
you're going to hurt yourself. You ain't gonna hurt us, you're going to hurt yourself. Let's read some more.
For he that eateth and drinketh unworthily eateth damnation to himself, not discerning the Lord's body.
Because you have no discerning of why you're doing it concerning the Lord's body. You have no understanding what this means. This bringing you to in his folds, 1 Corinthians 12. You're being brought into the body. If you don't know what that means and you just got crackers just like we were at church. Didn't know it because I grabbed hold of them because running late, didn't get no Cheerios before you headed out to church. Oh, they got juice in them crackers. That'll hold us over to that preacher get through about 3:45 because it looked like he going long today.
It's Easter.
Yeah.
Go ahead, where else we at? What else to say?
30. For this cause many are weak and sickly among you, and many sleep.
Right, next verse.
For if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged.
If we should do what?
Judge ourselves.
Judge ourselves. You see how it keeps coming back to you knowing why you doing that feast day. How somebody else gonna tell you how to keep your doctor's appointment?
Right.
Do you let somebody wake you up? Hey, ain't it Thursday? Man, you supposed to be at the doctor at 9 o'clock. Remember, if you got to have somebody wake you up for your appointment, it's gonna be a sad day, ain't it? Especially if they have to wake you up for a job interview.
Right.
Hey man, when you supposed to be at the Hershey plant today, they say we're gonna start you out as supervisor, $30 an hour. Once you supposed to, Lord have mercy! Kick covers up to the ceiling, thing. There you running, you on the highway, and you already a half hour late in your interview. What you driving for? You done missed your appointment. You have to know when your appointment is. If you got to set 2 alarm clocks, you know that's your appointment.
You done missed the rapture.
Boy, look here. The great gathering.
You
can miss that?
Yeah, this brother here asked this question at 2.
Hold it down, y'all. One second, y'all.
He asked this question at 2:24. He made sure he put that in the other message, but I've been holding this here for him.
Okay.
But his question is, how do 2nd Esdras 7:28 and 29 line up with the Bible? I never heard our Messiah was to die after 400 years. Thanks in advance and Shabbat Shalom.
Let's get it, because it's more to it than that. It matches up with the book of Daniel. It's talking about the Messiah would be put to death. You know, so it's talking about the crucifixion, but you got to read more into it. But look, before we go there, we finished with this. In 1 Corinthians 11.
I can finish it.
We got to go out on that first before we go to another.
Okay.
But we'll get right to that 2nd Ezra because it finishes it up. It clears everything up.
I'll read it on out. 32. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. Wherefore, my brethren, when ye come together to eat, tarry one for another. And if any man hunger, let him eat at home.
Let him do what?
Let him eat at home. That ye come not together unto condemnation. And the rest will I set in order when I come.
So he says, so you don't keep coming just for eat. If you find out that we got victuals over here, you'll wait it out 3 hours. You say you'll kindly get up and, you know, when you get your full after nodding out a couple times, and then walk on out, Shalom, and then you walk on out. He say, don't do that. Eat at home before you come. This is not the eating spot, but it's Bible class and it's 3 hours long, so the spirit is willing, but the flesh get weak.
Right.
So it needs to be energized, but if that's all you come in here is to energize your flesh, that's a problem. We need you to energize your spirit. We done on that? Anybody got any more questions concerning eating the cup unworthily?
We give him a second to get him.
And where we going now? We're going to 2nd Ezra what?
Second Ezra 7, 28 and 29.
Second Ezra 7. Let's go there, y'all. We in the Apocrypha now.
Yeah.
Where you going over?
See, y'all, and what we're talking about is reading entirety and subject matter. Y'all, we don't do cherry picking around here. We're going to go 3 verses up from where you got us starting to 3 verses past it to get an understanding. So a lot of the understanding is in the subject matter at verse 1. See, but when you're into a cherry picking doctrine, they pick one scripture and then you determine what the subject matter is. But the Bible don't need no interpreter. It says of no private interpretation.
Right.
It's going to tell you what the subject matter is, and when you understand it, it's the same thing that Daniel was talking about. The Messiah will be put to death. There's going to be time passed, you know. So, and then, you know, the Messiah come when they start to gather and deliver his people. Is it lining up with Deuteronomy 28? Ain't that saying the same thing? When the Lord will start to gather his people. You know, we just got to get the days down. Let's get it. Where we at?
The book of Second Ezra.
Y'all read verse 1 on down because they sent an angel to Ezra. But we'll pick it up by verse 20. Hold on. Well, I tell you what, where you want to start at verse 9? Let's start at verse 9 because it clears up why the certain time limits that, because it even goes back to Adam. So it's letting you know even in the Garden of Eden, that curse that was in Genesis 3:16 and 3:17, this is speaking of that too, because all of it is the Messiah has to correct what went wrong in the garden. Once he fixed that, then we'll be let back in to a fixed garden. But the subject matter is always going to start there dealing with the Messiah. The Messiah just didn't show up in Bethlehem. He's always been around. He was in the Garden of Eden. He saw what happened. Let's get some more. Where we at?
We're in the book of Second Ezra, chapter 7, and we'll start the reading at verse 9.
Okay.
Let's get some understanding, family. In this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance.
Right.
If he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? And I said, it is so, master. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion.
Is whose portion?
Israel's portion.
So now we're talking about future event because we're talking about the covenant after Abraham, who he's passing on. We got to talk about Israel's portion because Israel's portion is Genesis 49. It's the last day prophecy to the 12 tribes, right? That's Israel's portion. This is what's going to befall you in the last day. Genesis 49th chapter. Go ahead.
Verse 11. Because for their sakes I made the world.
See, now you're saying, did he make the world for Israel and they weren't even thought of? Or is the Father looking down the line that far? Abraham paid tithes and Levi while he was yet in his loins. How you going to argue about paying tithes when Abraham paid tithes before Levi was born? So that meant that Abraham was born, then Isaac was born, then Jacob was born, then Levi was born. But Abraham had already paid tithes for this great-grandson. It's already been paid, but it was paid under the Melchizedek order. That's what Paul is talking about in Hebrews 7. You got to get back to this tithe paying. If you stay at Mount Sinai, you in bondage. It's bondage. You got to come from up under the schoolmaster. Where we at? Read some up.
Verse 11 again. Because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statute.
Who transgressed his statute?
Adam.
I thought Eve did.
Adam transgressed my statute. Then was decreed that now is done.
Then was decreed. So Genesis 3:16 and 3:17. So when you read these scriptures and you point to a certain event, you got to get the subject matter, the whole matter, so you know what is leading up to. Trouble in the garden, we starting out, ain't we? Let's read some up.
Verse 12. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit.
What kind of fruit?
Immortal fruit. If then they that live labored not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them.
Is that's plain and simple English, ain't it?
Pretty much.
Go
right.
ahead.
Now therefore, why disquietest thou thyself, seeing thou art but a corruptible man? And why art thou moved, whereas thou art but mortal? Why hast thou not considered in thy mind this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present?
Because you have no patience and you want to see it now. Everybody that do man worship and chase a man as God have no more patience. They got to see him now, so you accept a substitute. Read some more.
Hold on, real quick. I can't see to find the second witness in the scripture, but where it said here in verse 12, it says, "Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, of sorrow and travail, but are few and evil and full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elders were wide and sure, and brought immortal fruit." So because when with the elders is when things were good and we was doing what was right. The world was open wide to us. But now because of sin, what we just finished reading about, for Adam transgressed, now that gate is straight and narrow to where you have to get in, because you can't have that wide world of sin. You have to be on that path of righteousness.
Yeah.
And that path of righteousness is narrow and straight.
That's right.
So you got to go on the straight and narrow to make it to the kingdom. You can't be running around in the world and involved in everything that's in the world and think you saved and going to heaven.
He know my heart.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 17. Then answered I and said, O master, that bearest rule, thou hast ordained in thy law.
Thou hast ordained where at?
In thy law, that the righteous should inherit these things, but that the ungodly should perish. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things, and hope for wide. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, and yet shall not see the wide. And he said unto me, there is no judge above Yah.
There is no what?
There is no judge above Yah. Y'all
have some Negroes out here talking about there's principles and some other things that's above the law of God. Boy, you'll see it out there. There's statutes and principles above the law of God. Where you read that at? Where you make that up from?
Right.
What's above the law of God?
No.
Does it say keep the principles higher than the law and thou shalt be saved? Did you read that?
Where's the book at?
Thou shalt understand these principles. Thou shalt put them above the Big Ten. If you believe there are 613 laws, it is 614 and 15. Where you reading that at? Let's read some more.
There is no judge above Yah, and none that hath understanding above the highest. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of Yah.
What do they despise?
The law of Yah that is set before them.
See, the law is set before you, not no principles that's higher than the law. That's that universe talk. You hear anybody talking that universe talk that talk. The universe has laws. Laws of physics, ain't it? The sun and the moon go by principles or go by the law.
And so you see it right here, it also says that they perish because they despise the word. There's no point in you even living. If you're despising the Lord of Lords, which he gave you to live, and you say, forget all that, there's no point in you even having breath in your body.
Look, it say the law that was set before us.
Exactly.
If you got principles that's set before us, or you have to chew on some root to send you to outer space into the cosmos to get it, that's a problem, ain't it?
Yep.
That root ain't gonna work for everybody the same way. Somebody may go on a bad trip and never come back from the cosmos. Head be up in the clouds all the time. That's my house up there. That's my car. That's my car. What you got, Shimon?
What does it mean to be ordained? Is that an ordinance?
Ordained, yeah, it means to be consecrated or anointed
Called and chosen.
for a particular task that you got to be, doing. Like when they anointed David as king, even though he was about 14 or 15, and Saul was still sitting on the throne. He was already anointed to be king. Even though Saul was running it, plan B is already in motion. It's going to happen. The Most High is already out with this individual. He ain't been cast out yet, but he's already locked and loaded with the king that's anointed. And that's what he told him. He said, this the boy I got to anoint. What about Shebaniah, Jesse's biggest son, shoulders broad as Karl Malone's? Scrapping Hebrew. It ain't him. These are all your sons? Well, it ain't nothing but the shepherd boy. You got to go get him. You got to go get him. And when David come back up before Samuel saw him good, he like, there it is. There it is. I see it on him. I see the aura on him. The big boy they talk about was hiding with the rest of them Israelites when Goliath was out there talking noise. The one with the big broad shoulders. He hiding behind there, yeah. And David come up and they cuss David out. Ain't you supposed to be back with the sheep? What you out here for? What you come out here to see? He said, I come out here to see why ain't nobody said nothing about this uncircumcised Philistine calling our father out like this. You don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You go back there and feed them sheep and leave me and work alone. This man work hiding. This man's his work. Go ahead, bro.
Verse 21. For Yah hath given straight commandment to such as came.
He giving crooked commandments.
Straight commandments.
Straight commandments, y'all. It's not hard because it's not grievous. He's not going to tell you anything you have to keep trying to figure out how to do. This law is written for a man when he comes into his puberty, when the first time he's able to give life, and to a woman when she's in her first time to give life. That's when the law starts for that individual. Anything before that, you're under your parents' rules.
Right.
But when you 15, if the seed of copulation of a woman in her flower, Leviticus 15 says she got to hit the water. You have to teach her them laws at that age. You can't say it's too deep for you right now. The wolf waiting on you to say that.
Yep.
You got to be watching for when a young boy, his voice crack. Hey, daddy, we on to the store today. You like, uh-oh, this boy coming into manhood. His voice cracking. And you'll see the next thing. You're like, okay, voice cracking. I'm watching. Let me monitor these phone calls.
And the internet.
Yeah, internet. Next, when you see his nostrils flared like this, you're like, oh, he's smelling his piss. He gonna challenge me. Daddy, somebody came in my room. You're like, hold up. Take them shoulders off and hang them back in the closet like they say. You can't be rearing up at me with your shoulders like this talking about daddy and you in my house. So take them shoulders off and put them back in the closet and come and talk to me like you got some sense. You're like, oh, he's smelling his piss now. Well, I ain't gonna smell it.
Right. Talking about his room.
His room in your house. Who been in here messing with my stuff? Me, the owner. Where we at, bro? Go ahead. Who got a question? Y'all good?
Verse 21.
Uh-huh.
For Yah hath given straight commandment to such as came, what they should do to live.
What they should do to what?
To live.
Uh-huh.
Even as they came. And what they should observe to avoid punishment.
To avoid what?
Punishment.
Is that simple English, y'all? Let's read some more.
Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him, and imagined vain things, and deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways. But his law have they despised, and denied his covenants.
Right.
In his statutes have they not been faithful, and have not performed of his works.
Right.
And therefore, Esdras, for the empty are empty things, and for the full are full things.
Right.
Behold, the time shall come that these tokens which I have told thee shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear.
Stop right there. Before you get to the next verse, bro was asking about who's the bride and when does the bride appear. Revelation 19, right? So we're leapfrogging to another area when we're talking about the bride. So let's get that established first. When the bride comes, Revelation 19, go ahead, read some more of that.
And the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen, that now is withdrawn from the earth.
Right.
And whosoever is delivered from the foresaid evils shall see my wonder.
So we understand clearly the bride is Messiah coming. Revelation 19, when this takes place, and those that are with him. So we get to understand. Now let's get into when these time cycles happen. Shalom, y'all. Go ahead.
Verse 28. For my son Yeshua shall be revealed with those that be with him.
Right.
And they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years.
So it's not saying anything. It's just saying the rejoicing take place. Those that remain will remain with him in 400 years. So what is that year range? Because right now we're into 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. We with the Most High. We're in Enoch. Give me some Enoch 48 chapter when it say the Most High gonna bring 10,000. The book of Jude, what he say? The Lord coming with how many saints? It says the same thing in the book of Enoch, the 48th chapter. It says the same exact things. When shall these things be? Matthew 24. You shall see the Lord coming with power and great glory. So the 400 years is tied around this time. It has to be because it's telling you everything before it is the Lord is coming back with his saints. Who he with this time unless you're thinking about his 12 disciples? And it ain't that because he hadn't broke bread yet. He hadn't died. It say this one, he had ascended and we're waiting on him to come back. So we know the resurrection had already taken place. So now this pushes us into future prophecy. Like the book of Daniel saying, the 9th chapter, 7 through 9, and then the 11th chapter will get into the 400 years because it's talking about 4 great kingdoms, y'all. It's a lot of work you have to tie into this, but we'll back it up with 2nd Ezra 13. We're going to get into that, and we'll see some more understanding concerning this. But read some more of this.
Verse 29. But then notice at verse 28, he said, for my son Yeshua, not Joseph's son.
Right.
Verse 29. After these years shall my son Hamashiach die, and all men that have life.
So if he dies and all men that have life, that means all of us die too. You got a problem right here if you're thinking there's something else. It said all men that have life shall die because we will be crucified together with him, right? That's what it said. In death with him, raised in power with him, right? So those that be with him, or you got to look at that question is not so much of the 400 years, it's just that everybody with the Messiah got to die. All men that have life will die. That either this is another day of Noah, or this is talking about a different type of event. You got to read between the lines. If they get you pinpointing on one thing, then you're stuck there. But there's other things that are happening when you read down to 41. Go ahead.
Verse 30. And the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as in the former judgment.
So turned into old silence 7 days. How many days it take to recreate the world? How many days?
6.
So as the former days, then this is telling you this is the end of time right here. We just got to narrow and put the 400 years in the end of time. Because all men are going to die with him. It says, as in the former time, as in the 7 days. If you don't find this, the question will be, what are the 7 days of former? What does that mean? Where do we ever have 7 days of former when the world, what is the world doing? And the world shall be turned into old silence 7 days. Go ahead, like what it say?
Like as in the former judgment.
Like as in former judgment. So there was a judgment on the world. As we continue to read. When did that judgment come? Genesis 1 and 1 and 2, because the world came out of a flood. There was a flood before Noah. There was a flood before Adam and Eve. That world was coming out of a flood. It was void, it was dark, and the deep covered that world up. Peter talked about it in 2 Peter 3, 5 through 8. Job talked about it in Job, 4:23? He talked about the same thing, bohu and tohu, meaning completely destroyed. So we're right here concerning the Messiah. The 400-year period is where you're trying to get the year in it. Is it a year of weeks?
You rather want them scripts again.
Is it a year of Sabbaths? Which one's for what?
2 Peter what and Job?
2 Peter 3, 5 through 8, Jeremiah 4, 23 on down. It talks about the world before the flood. Because Peter said, let us not be ignorant of these one thing. 1,000 years one day unto the Lord. Why is he going back to when a man could live 1,000 years would be considered one day? But how long did the oldest man live? 969. So nobody's lived an entire day. We're going back to this position to correct what Adam did, because we started off in verse 9. Adam sinned, so the Messiah is here to set things in order, and Israel is prophesied to bring it into fruition, to come back into the garden. Y'all, it's a lot of things when you're putting prophecies together, because he give you in part. He give you this part in part. I'm gonna give you this part in part. But as we can continue to read, we see clearly this talking about destruction and judgment and the Messiah coming. When you see him coming with his saints, it's always the world has been destroyed and it's finna be reestablished. And we used the word the bride, didn't it? What bride is this talking about before we get to the 400 years? What bride is it talking about? The marriage supper of the Lamb, ain't it? Let's read some more.
Let's see.
Verse 32. No, verse 31 again.
Well, 30 again.
Uh-huh.
And the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days.
Right.
Like as in the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days the world that yet awaketh not shall be raised up. And that shall die that is corrupt.
So what is this but Ecclesiastes 12 and 12 through 14? I'm going to bring everything into judgment. Every evil thing and every secret thing into judgment. So it's talking about judgment day. You know, so when you're looking at your 400 years, or you're talking about this is a time, either it's put you right there before the Messiah died, after the Maccabees situation was that 400 years in there, or is it talking about 400 weeks of years? What is Ezra talking about? Because he's jumping around. So your 400 years could be weeks, it could be jubilees, it could be Sabbath, but it has to fit with the rest of the prophecy, or you get stuck in one position. Because now what you're looking for 400 years, you're looking for Christ's first advent on earth versus everything else we read that's talking about a second coming, ain't it? What shall it be when the end of the world comes? He say the sun ain't gonna give a light.
Right.
The moon should be turned to darkness. Blood moon. Then shall you see the Son of Man coming with his angels. So how did we jump from prior to we in the end right here? But the whole thing has been talking about what happened in the garden to fix that. You cannot just start at one verse and don't read the subject matter. The subject matter here is talking about the second coming of Messiah and what's in between. Now if that don't satisfy you with the 400 years, then we have to ask, what about the 7 years of silence? What does that mean? It's all in here. The 7 years of silence, the world was silent till the Most High recreated it in how many days? And then it came to life, didn't it? It was silent. It said there was no activity. It was void.
He said, Corey already said, great breakdown for me to revisit.
We ain't through yet, bro. We ain't through yet. Hold on, bro. We got a little bit more. We got just a little bit more, bro. Because look, it been asked me a time or two before. Some prophecies that still require us to keep going. We ain't getting it all. We don't profess to have it all. It's like in the book of Daniel, 1,290 days. We know that's 3.5 years, right? Or 3 years or whatever it is. The scripts say, blessed is he that come to the 1,365 days. So we got either 75 more days that counts for a blessing. What are the 75 days or those additional days that puts you over the top? What are those days about? Where can they be found? So far, we still working on why those days give you a blessing. But it's got to be tied just like 400 years in Egypt. But how long did we stay in Egypt?
430.
For what? 430. 430 years was the sojourner, but the prophecy was for how many years? So it lets you know the Most High deal in whole numbers. It won't be 500 years. It won't be 500 years. 400 years to him is 401 through 499, 365 days, like that till it gets to 500. And your birthday the same way, ain't it? If your birthday tomorrow, you still 11 months, 30 days, and how many hours we got before midnight? You can't say you another age right now, can you? If your birthday tomorrow, can you?
No.
You say, well, no, dog, it's tomorrow. If the Lord let me live, I'll be that age. Because you know it don't flip. You got 11 months, this many days, still don't make you 1 year older, does it?
No.
Most High deal in whole numbers. It won't be 500 years that we hear slaves. Go ahead, bro.
So when they talk about 400 years, after the 400 years, the Most High say he's going to judge the nation. He said he's coming out.
Right.
And in Egypt, when they got done with their suffering for, well, they kind of still, when they got done, when Moses got there, it took time. It was 2 years from the first plague to the second plague. It took some years before they came out.
Y'all heard what he's saying? And see, what he talking about is the book of Jasher.
The reason behind that, the Spirit revealed to me, is because the Most High was courting Israel at that time. See, there's a courtship before you come to a marriage.
To clean you up. Clean you up.
Say that again, brother.
If y'all understand what he talking about, what he's speaking of is the 78th chapter of the book of Jasher. When Moses and them first went to Pharaoh and told him to let my people go, do you know 2 years passed before they went back? 2 whole years that he gave Pharaoh a chance to repent. I'm gonna give you 2 years. He gave Noah them 120 years before the ark of the. We're talking about a merciful God. His majesty equals his mercy. They're equal. And we read in Sirach 18th chapter, right at the end. So what we're talking about is he gave Pharaoh 2 years before he sent him back to put another plague on. 2 years, y'all, 24 months before he could get himself right. He didn't do it, did he?
Nope.
Same way, y'all. So, y'all, when you understand in Bible language, it's consistent. It never changes. It never changes. So we're getting a flood of last day scriptures. And with 400 years, yes, should we narrow it down? It may not be as clear to you now, but we know it's tied around the book of Daniel. And it says, within 400 years after my son, then you're going to start to see these things. Well, it's been 2,000 years since then. So either this is contradicting itself or we're not understanding the time frame within it. And if you don't go back to understand the whole subject matter, then you won't understand the time frame. But let's keep reading down to verse 41. It's going to get clearer. And then I just want to jump to 2nd Ezra 13, and we'll get that finished up.
Verse 32.
What it say?
And the earth shall restore those that are asleep in her.
What the earth gonna do?
Restore those that are asleep in her.
Ain't this the same thing as saying the dead shall give up?
Yep.
The resurrection, huh? Look, what time did we skip 400? Or is Ezra way off? Because it's been 2,000 years since we came from Jerusalem, I bet, ain't it? So if a day is 1,000 years to the Lord, we've been the last days 2,000 years. It won't be 3,000 years. But it says days, D-A-Y-S, so it could be possibly more than 2,000 years, but not 3,000 years, because it say in the third day. Y'all, it's a lot of, when you got to switch language, you go off the 24-hour clock, and you go on the clock before the sun and the moon was created before the 4th day. That's when the sun and moon was created, on the 4th day. What light ruling for day 1, 2, and 3? Let's read some more, where we at?
And so shall the dust those that dwell in silence. And the secret places shall deliver those souls that were committed unto them.
What shall it do?
Deliver those souls that were committed unto them.
So y'all, we see that this is the resurrection of the dead. Is it the first or the second resurrection? The first resurrection is the believers in Christ. There's no hurt on those that make the first resurrection. There's no hurt. You don't have to worry about the second resurrection. The second resurrection is for everybody that did not believe in Christ or didn't get a chance to know him like they should have, and now their X's have to outweigh their O's. That's when you coming up on the law of nature. Did you know you was Israel? And that don't really mean nothing anyway, because you know you Israel. If you don't keep the commandments, what that means? What did he tell Judas Iscariot? It had been better for you that you do what?
Yeah.
So what does him being an Israelite mean anything if you don't keep the law? Let's finish this out, bro.
Verse 33. And the Most High shall appear unto the seat of judgment.
What he gonna appear to?
Unto the seat of judgment. And misery shall pass away.
Right.
And the long suffering shall have an end. But judgment only shall remain. Truth shall stand. And faith shall wax strong.
Right.
And the work shall follow. And the reward shall be showed. And the good deeds shall be a force. And wicked deeds shall bear no rule. Then said I, Abraham prayed first for the Sodomites,
right,
and Moses for the fathers that sinned in the wilderness.
So he's telling you within these time frames, a lot of time men die because I'm giving you a time period to come back to me. This could be within 400 years. It was 120 years in building the ark. So he gives time before he come back for you to get it right. Within this time, I'm gonna see if men get, because look, he telling you, all men that have life is dying. That's a problem within this 400 years, or that was judgment day 400 years ago when the Messiah got here. You can't have it both ways. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It just don't work with the language that follows it. Let's read some more.
Verse 37.
What it say?
And Yeshua after him for Israel in the time of Achan, and Samuel and David for the destruction, and Solomon for them that should come to the sanctuary.
So when it said Abraham prayed for the Sodomites, y'all remember that? Yep. That was Genesis 18 when he told it said the Lord finna destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. He like Lot, my nephew, and his family there. He said, Lord, will you destroy if there's 50 righteous? He say, if it's 50 righteous, he like, Lord have mercy. Look, he's praying for the Sodomites because Lot, his wife, and his 4 daughters. How many is that?
4.
That's
5,
6.
6.
You went to Jennings too, huh?
So, but look here. He started out if it's 50. He don't have 50 of his relatives living there. So he's technically praying for the Sodomites. And look, Sodomites don't mean everybody there was into their wickedness, because Lot and them what? They say, take my daughter, they ain't never had a man, but don't do this wicked thing. So they were Sodomites. It was just named after a king named Sodom. The behavior in the land of Sodom was such as what Jasher, you want to really get down and see what it was? They'll tell you it was a freaknik there. A man bring his wife and his daughter, turn them loose to another man, wouldn't see him for 2 weeks.
Right.
Then they come back to him walking bow-legged, they just go on home like it ain't nothing.
No, actually, he saw them doing the mean.
Well, look, seen him going away, but he turned away. He like, look, I see you going that way. Y'all, we see this today. In that new movie with Aretha Franklin, you see her daddy, his daddy turned his head. He knew she was going in a room with an older man. Wow. That's what they were into. That was that freaknik section. Because when you check out the end, he got a 12-year-old pregnant. Aretha Franklin's daddy. So when he sacrificed her, that's what went on. Because they say, yeah, he like partying on Saturday and calling on the Holy Spirit on Sunday. And boy, her daddy was having some fun. When you hear Jake say philanderer, if y'all watch that movie about Aretha Franklin coming up, y'all gonna see some things. Y'all gonna say, how did he not know she was doing that? Got her on the road with him in clubs with men 13 years old. Her second baby at 15.
But mad at her because she wanted to sing the music that she wanted to and couldn't keep it attached to the church. You singing secular music.
Let's read some more.
Verse 39. And Helias for those that received rain, and for the dead that he might live.
Jump down to verse 43.
But the day of doom shall be the end of this time, and the beginning of the immortality for to come.
Right.
Wherein corruption is past.
Right.
Intemperance is at an end. Infidelity is cut off.
What is cut off?
Infidelity is cut off. Righteousness is grown, and truth is sprung up.
Read that down to verse 48, and we'll jump over to the next when we need to.
Then shall no man be able to save him that is destroyed, nor to oppress him that hath gotten the victory.
Right.
I answered then and said, this is my first and last saying.
See, Ezra, I had to ask one more question. I swear this is the last question. I swear this is the last question. Go ahead.
That it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam.
It's given unto who?
Adam.
You see how all this is coming back to Adam and what happened in the garden? This is what the whole thing is talking about. Fixing the problem in the garden. When Christ comes, is to fix that problem in the garden. After 400 years, is it 400 weeks of years? Is it 400 jubilees? What is it talking about in years when it's compared to the second coming of Christ? Leviticus 25 and 26 could lend something to it. The book of Jubilees could lend to it, of that space of time that we're talking about. Let's read some more.
Or else, when it was given him to have restrained him from sinning. For what profit is it for men now in this present time to live in heaviness, and after death to look for punishment?
See, why would you want to live like that? To live in heaviness and then after that punishment. Jump right over to we're going to clear a little bit more to 2 Ezra 13.
While we jumping, y'all, if you all have never read 1st and 2nd Ezra in the Apocrypha, highly recommend you do it, because it's such a, the Lord he deals with different people differently. Everybody had a job to do, and you'll see Ezra's job of what
I'll tell you what,
with the questions that he asked. The Lord dealt with him totally different than he had dealt with any of his other people. And to remember that Ezra is a great down grandson of Aaron, Moses' brother Aaron. So he was a priest, a Levitical priest.
That's right.
Was. So y'all really look at this understanding and see how the Lord had to open his understanding first before he could give him the questions, answer to the questions that he asked.
Before we hit that second, very good, Uriah. Before we hit that, let's hit 2nd Ezra chapter 2. And I just want to start at 33 through 47. Real quick, y'all, I ain't gonna interrupt you. I tell you what, y'all read 2nd Ezra chapter 2. Y'all start at verse 33. We're gonna jump down to verse 38.
There you go.
Read 38 on out for me, brother.
48.
That's 2nd Ezra chapter 2. Y'all start at verse 33. We're going to pick it up at 38.
Go ahead, Ezra.
Your book.
No doubt.
All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 2 verse 38. Arise up and stand. Behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord.
What is the feast of the Lord? Zechariah 14, ain't it? That's the feast of the Lord, the Day of Tabernacles, ain't it? The Feast of Tabernacles. It's the feast of the Lord. It's Zechariah 14, all of it. Go ahead.
Verse 39. Which are departed from the shadow of the world, and have received glorious garments of the Lord.
So glorious garments. Same thing Revelation 6 and 9 say. Those that have received the glorious garments that were put to sleep and yet coming back with Messiah. Those are his saints that's coming with him to conquer the world. Go ahead.
Verse 40. Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white.
What color they clothed in?
In white.
See, the same thing Revelation 6 and 9. Clothed in white. See, when you hear anybody talking about I seen or I went to heaven, just ask the simple question, what color clothes did they have on? Well, you know, Big Mama, you know, she used to love to wear that polka dot dress with the flowers on the sleeve. She had that on and somebody had put some fringes on it. Wrong answer. Go ahead, where we at?
Verse 40. Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord.
What have they done?
Fulfilled the law of the Lord.
This allows them to wear white. Let's read some more.
The number of thy children, whom thou longest for, is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people which have been called from the beginning.
From the middle.
From the beginning may be hallowed.
Right.
I, Esdras, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people.
I saw on Mount, what's the other? Sinai. Mount Himalaya. What it say? Mount where?
Mount Zion. A great people, whom I could not number. And they all praise the Lord with songs.
Give me Revelation 6 and 9 real quick. Somebody hold that edge. Just real quick and see if it's matching up.
No, mine ain't on here. It's in there somewhere.
Add 19, Mark. Revelation chapter 6, verse 9.
Too slow.
I'm about to
Revelation
say
chapter 6, verse 9. And when he had opened the fifth seal, and saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yahweh.
What were they slain for?
For the word of
Put
Yahweh.
to death. Go ahead.
And for the testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, How long, O Elohim, holy and true, dost thou not judge and avenge our blood on them that dwell on the earth? And white robes were given unto every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest yet for a little season.
What kind of robes was given to them? What color were they?
White robes.
Go ahead.
Were given unto them, to every one of them. And it was said unto them that they should rest for yet a little season until their fellow servants also and their brethren that should be killed as they were should be fulfilled. And I beheld when he had opened the sixth seal, and lo, there was a great earthquake.
We see you can go on into the other one, but that's all we wanted with Revelation 6:9, so we can still see the souls that's under the altar that's coming back with him. Those are the saints. They're coming from Abraham's bosom. That's where you get your white robe and you be put back to sleep. They awake and they like, how long, Lord? He said, there got to be another martyrdom like y'all did, like y'all went through. There's going to be a time period. Once that's completed, then things going to come to pass.
So the saints are dead already.
Some of them are. You may be a saint.
There's still going to be more to die.
There's still more to die in this second go round.
Some still living and walking on the earth right now, and some sleeping.
Right.
Well, not from way back then. We're talking about now. Because remember, the 144,000, they are men without guile, and they are male virgins, meaning that they have not been tampered by with another religion. So, and it said they were taken from the earth. So they're not up there. And so what I'm saying, they could be up there because they can be taken from the earth and go up there. Moses could be one of the 144,000 because they sent for his body, right? When he told Satan, get back. In the book of Jude, he gave no railing accusation to Moses. He just said, man, get out of the way, man. I come from Moses' body. Moses showed up at the Mount of Transfiguration with Messiah. See, so now when you start pushing things together, you know, you start to understand that time period. But we're going to get just a little bit more of this. Go ahead, close it out, and I want to run 13 real quick. And then I got from Sister Battelle. She be sharp on this, and we kind of going over to Daniel 9:24 through 26. She see the 62 weeks in there, so she's asking about the time. Exactly, but there's always time to make us go study some more. Y'all, if we think we got it all, we're going to stop studying. And you know what stop studying mean? That means you're going to have a bunch of other books behind you like you some scholar. You'll be just like all of them jackleg preachers. They got all their books up there except the Bible. T.D. Jakes, How to Hustle the Flock. Creflo Dollar, Stay Away from the 10 Commandments. Witchcraft 101, Sorcery 101, and the Bible ain't there. Let's read some more.
Verse 43.
What it say is,
and in the midst of them,
y'all listen to this. Y'all listen to this.
And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest. And upon every one of their heads he sat crowned, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly.
So there was a tall young man that stood above taller than everybody. He put crowns on their heads. But yet I was more marveled at him, exalted, because he was more exalted. Let's read some more.
So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, these be they that have put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal.
So we're in 1 Corinthians 15:51 now. Let's read some more.
And have confessed the name of God. Now are they crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, what young person is that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, it is the Son of God.
Who is it?
The Son of God.
You got this in the Old Testament. You got Jesus in the Old Testament. Get out of here with that name foolishness. This is in the Apocrypha. Let's read some more.
Then began I greatly to commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. Then the angel said unto me, go thy way and tell my people what manner of things, and how great wonders of the Lord thy God thou hast seen.
So he's not got to go back and tell them about the future. Y'all understand what I'm saying? A lot of these people trying to make events happen right now, but he saw into the future. Palms in your hand and a white robe, that's a sign of peace. It's like in Revelation, they will pass out healing to the nation. You get that leaf in your hand and a white robe, you are locked in. You can't be turned out.
Saved.
You are at that point what we, or the scripture, considered saved. Now let's just run this 13 real quick, y'all, and we'll get out of this and get right back while we got just a few minutes to ask a few more questions. Give me 13 and start about verse 29. 2nd Ezra 13, we're going to start about verse 29. Now, I want you to read verse 1 of that, and we'll see some same words again that we got to get the understanding of what these words mean. What verse 1 say that 13, Ezra?
2nd Ezra chapter 13, verse 1.
What it say?
And it came to pass after 7 days.
How many days?
7 days.
Uh-huh.
I dreamed a dream by night.
See, so now we got to deal with 7 more days, and what is 7? Why is it so significant in what we're talking about in the last days? Now let's just jump down to verse 29. Y'all read everything in between.
Verse 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth.
Where they at?
Upon the earth. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth.
Right.
And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another.
One realm. So now we got spiritual darkness fighting. That's Ephesians 6 and 9. So now we got a spiritual warfare going on as well as nations fighting. Because ain't that Matthew 24? Notice, you know, that nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Y'all see how we still into the second coming of Messiah surrounding this issue? Imam, I may need to holler at you just a second before you go out. Go ahead, catch up. Go ahead, read that out, bro. Read that out.
Verse 32.
Yeah.
And the time shall be.
Read it out to 39.
39. Verse 32. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land lead the battle they have one against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand up on the top of the Mount Zion, and Zion shall come and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and built up, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. And this my son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempests, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law which is like unto fire. Verse 39. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another peaceable multitude unto him, Those are the 10 tribes which are carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of OC the king, which, how you pronounce that, Salmanasar,
Yeah.
the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land.
But y'all see this, how this was talking about the last days, and then it jumped into verse 40, the 10 tribes when they were scattered. So you see how we was at the end of time, and then we jump back to the scattering of, this is the script that all of those camps used to say that the Israelite came over to the Americas. But it never used the word America, it says Osiris. Don't it? So you know, Osiris is something else. But they said that they might there keep the statutes which they never kept in their own land. They went over the Euphrates, and this place is called Osiris. But I don't care what definition you look up for Osiris, all it simply says is a place of uninhabited people. Now, can't that be all over the world? You want to see uninhabited places, get in an airplane and fly over. You think we got a lot of people on planet Earth. Right. When you see how big and vast the Earth is, you like, we could fill up everybody in China in this one area right here we just flew over.
Right, I'm looking down on it, yep.
The Earth is ain't a 10% of people could fill the Earth up. This why you can't tell that it's going in a circle. It's because it's so vast, by the time you get 20,000 miles away, you're just starting to turn on a curve of it. And you keep going, like remember them cartoons when somebody be chasing somebody and they run down the hill and they get small and fall, finally they disappear. It's the same way when you're going over the Earth, because it rises, the moon rises and sets, the sun rises and sets, and it comes back up, you know, so it never circles the Earth like they're teaching you. It's a commandment to rise and set. So y'all, but I just wanted to run all of those to see how the Bible could be talking about a past event and then it jumped back to our natural time. It's talking about Adam and Eve, and then it's talking about the children of Israel. How did we skip Noah and his 3 sons? How did we skip Abraham and Isaac? How would the world prepare for what Adam did with Israel? How do you put that together? How did we skip? Where did we skip at, y'all?
I want to say something real quick about
Go ahead, brother.
The point that you made about a sorceress. It said that where people would go and be able to do what they need to do for the Lord that they couldn't do in their own land.
Right.
You're saying some of these Israelite camps say that that's what America is, but there's no record. We as a people didn't come over here on our own to worship the Lord. Like people in the Maccabees, where they had to go in caves just to keep the Sabbath day. So there's no record of that. So where do they get this from, that we came over here because we were seeking asylum to be able to worship the Lord, and we don't even know who He is as a people?
Right, read verse 45 again, we get to understand of that same second Ezra. What he's speaking of, that was the slave trade. The 10 tribes scattered before Nero sacked Jerusalem. See what I'm saying? So the scattering of the 10 tribes was around Solomon time. Rehoboam and Jeroboam split up. That's way before we get even to the Messiah coming on earth. They were split. So where did they go before the split? Now you got Isaiah 9 that talks about Judah would dwell amongst the tribes. Judah would be scattered. Judah's neck will be in the hand of the enemy. So there's no doubt Judah is leading the way of Deuteronomy 28. It's just the other 10 tribes have to fit Deuteronomy 28 somewhere in it. And it's not our job. It's not our job to look at that fake 12 tribe chart and put Indians in there who has their own treaties and won't help us. Have you seen them marching in Black Lives Matter? No. Have they donated casino money to us as our brother? Do they have the traditional headgear of an eagle head and feathers like this flapping? Where they get that from in their Israel? And you know what they say, because they're saying, Yahweh, Yahweh. You don't know what them engines saying. What are we told to put fringes on our sleeves and down our pants leg and on our moccasins? Y'all heard fringes going all of that? And you call them our brother. You make them what they won't accept.
Right.
You up there at the Capitol when them white boys was up there and them Indians was up there fighting. Not once did they say, we join in sides with you against these heathens.
Nope.
Not 1 second. And not only that, they didn't even preach to the Indians who was out there beating on the drum. Israelites, tribe of Gad, be with us against the heathen.
Right.
Not even mentioned to them. We forcing these people to fit the script. It's commandments of men, y'all, based off of this 40. But read that 45 again. What it say?
Verse 45. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half. And the same region is called Arsarit.
So what we got to do is get down the sea from Jerusalem crossing the Euphrates. Does it take a year and a half by boat? And how many of the tribes was on it? See, we ask questions. We just don't accept what you read and say that's what it means. We ask questions. And this question say it took a year and a half, and that place is called Arsarit. And we challenging anybody out there to find Arsarit, any documentation that it says the Americas, because it don't. It's suggested that it may be the Americas, but it's not, because we still got a problem with Isaiah 9th chapter. With the scattering, and it lists different places. It lists Parthenia and this land, and it don't say America unless America is named something else. In that Isaiah 9th chapter where it said the branch of David gonna be scattered. Is that Isaiah 9 2 by? You know what I'm speaking of? Is 11? Give me just a little bit of Isaiah real quick, y'all. Let me tell y'all what I'm talking about. It's either 9 or 11. Real quick. I'm getting a little bit of that sometimes. And no, Sister Naomi, they ain't all the timers yet.
What are you looking for, Daniel?
I'm just looking for, when I say, I see 9 and 6 and 7. That's not what, this is what I'm looking for. I see 11. And I want to see where they'll be scattered at. Is that 11 I want? Okay, the branch of the Lord grow, the spirit of the Lord understanding. We can count my quick understanding I am, but the righteous, the lamb cow, no, it's 9, got to be 9. It says, in the remnant of Jacob. What I want? I wait upon the face. I want 9, and these people great lay home. Wonderful kind of creed, and the government of his throne should be studied. Okay, yeah, go ahead. It's 9. It's 9 and 6. Yeah, and you read down, and you'll see that word, when you read 9 through 6, Isaiah 9, am I right? Yeah, Isaiah 9.
You sure it's Isaiah 9? Because Isaiah 9 and 6 says, for unto us a child is born.
Right, I want you to read on down.
For unto us a child is born.
Right.
Unto us a son is given.
Right.
And the government shall be upon his shoulder.
Right.
And his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace.
Right.
Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end.
Right.
Upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever.
Go ahead, go on down.
The zeal of God of hosts will perform this. The Lord sent a word into Jacob, and it hath lightened up is upon Israel. And all the people shall know, even Ephraim, an inhabitant of Samaria, that say in the pride and stoutness of heart, the bricks are fallen down, but we will build with hewed stones. The sycamore are cut down, but we will change them into cedars.
Right.
Therefore the Lord shall set upon the adversaries of reason against him and join his enemies together.
So we see right here, we're getting right back into Ephraim and Samaria, but we see the King of Peace, the zeal of the Lord, hope for the word sent the Lord unto Jacob. It has lighted upon the Israel. So it's saying Israel has the covenant. The 12 tribes have the covenant. And then in the very next verse, and then it say, and the Lord, a word unto Jacob had light upon Israel, and all the people, now even Ephraim and the inhabitants of Samaria, that say the pride and stoutness of the heart. The bricks are falling down. But we see that the word lighted upon Israel after after Most High became, the child is born. Son is given us, the government is on, everything that. Then it goes right into the covenant with Israel being the light and performing it. It was justice henceforth. But what I'm looking for is it saying, and he shall be, it may be, is it Isaiah what I'm looking for? And it's saying that they will be scattered among, and they should go to, okay, hold on, maybe that's it. Maybe this is, hold on, one second, the people left it. There it is, here it is. It's 11. Didn't I say 11? I said 11. L-E-U-M, 11. Give me 11 and 10. Give me 11 and 10.
You also said it wasn't 11.
11 and 10. I knew it was them two. Read that 11 and 10 on down to 14.
Verse 11, Isaiah 9. Therefore the Lord shall set upon the adversaries of Rezin against him.
No, 11, chapter 11.
Oh, chapter 11.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's good. Verse what?
Yeah.
11 and 10.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. Till it shall the Gentiles see, and his rest shall be glory.
Right.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand against the second.
Read
again the second time.
Right.
To recover the remnant of his people.
To recover who?
The remnant of his people. Which shall be left from Assyria.
From where?
From Assyria.
So is Israelites still left in Assyria because he's going to set his hand the second time to recover? But we're coming from the four corners of the earth, right? So is Israelites in Assyria? Go ahead.
And from Egypt.
And from where?
And from
some
Egypt.
Left there. Go ahead.
And from Pathros.
Right.
From Cush.
Africa.
From Elam.
Where's Elam? Africa, I don't know. Go ahead. Shinar.
Those are the islands of Africa.
Okay, go ahead.
From Hamath.
Right.
And from the isles of the sea.
Right.
And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel.
Who he gonna assemble?
The outcasts of Israel.
Uh-huh.
And gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
So we see Judah is scattered to the four corners of the earth, but we got other tribes that's in parts of the remnants of Israel. But Judah is scattered to the four corners. It may be some of the 10 tribes here mixed up with us. But once he start gathering, we gonna know, but he specifically takes Judah out of everything and sets him apart, because we know his prophecy was cruel. He would have a yoke of iron around his neck. So we know the bulk of Judah is in America with that yoke of iron around their neck. The other 10 tribes may be just facing some minor Deuteronomy 28 charges, but because Judah went more crazier than the 10 tribes, and they say, and treacherous Judah, you saw what your little sister was doing, and you played the harlot even 10 times more. You went crazier than them. You start wearing no drawers outside. And the wind high. So this is why Judah's punishment was greater, even in Genesis 49 about the last days. And this breaks it down too, that Judah is scattered among the four corners of the earth. But we see here these 10 tribes, there's remnants in Assyria and Cush and these places. So we need to find out where those places are and see if it's some Israelite tribes there. I'm not saying Igbo. Just because they say they Igbo and they keep the commandments, they say Igbo have to go back to a tribe. Ain't no Igbo son of Jacob.
13th son.
Unless he's a Gentile claiming that they follow our God. But we need to know where Igbo got his name from, like the tribe of Dan. Airlifted back to Jerusalem in 1980 and 85 with Operation Moses and Operation Solomon. They clearly state, we are the descendants of the tribe of Dan. Is Igbo somebody? We need to convert Igbo into Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Asher, Gad, Zebulun. One of them Igbo have to be converted into. We just can't accept Igbo.
Right.
I ain't read no brother Igbo, have y'all?
No.
See, if we let Igbo get away with it, then we gotta let the tribe of Shabazz come in. Where did the tribe of Shabazz come from?
Right.
That we all done heard from who? The Muslims. Once you open the door up, you open it all the way up for stragglers. Oh, I'm from the tribe of Pygmyville, you know. Yeah. You know, you kind of look like you could have been part of our tribe too. You short. Look. You 1 foot from being called short. Boy, look here. So y'all, where we at?
What you
Yeah. Go ahead.
Gazi Israel asked, Jeremiah 50 and 33, what does it mean? Jeremiah 50 and 33 says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go.
See, and that's what we're talking about. You just answered where we are in this Isaiah 11. See, it's the same thing because it said they were oppressed together. So the bottom line is we know we Judah. Is there somebody here in this land that's getting what we getting and ain't got the yoke of iron around their neck, but they fitting the other last day prophecy? They still have to fit prophecy. We can't guess prophecy for them. So next, your only other choice is to go to the 12 patriarchs. You hear from Reuben himself. You'll hear from Zebulun himself. You'll hear from Issachar himself. And then that way you don't make a private church, because these are the fathers telling their children, this is what's going to happen to you. Jacob told me what was going to happen to me. He said, Reuben, you my firstborn, but because you went up in my bed, you unstable as water. Yeah, I can't trust you far as I can throw you. So you missed the birthright. Next, Simeon and Levi, you up. Oh, y'all cruelty is so great. Y'all let a man be circumcised and then y'all killed him with the sword. Y'all out. Judah, you up. Your brethren shall praise you. And what we're talking about is Judah will stand out above the brethren. So is it a coincidence that the American athletes or whatever comes out of America reigns supreme, and all the Israelites in other nations take suit behind the Israelite in America? I mean, it's Tupac shirts out over there, just using that as an example, over in the other lands. And they mimic the Hebrews who come from him, Mike Tyson and what they talking about, the strongman and the fast track runners. So where is the other tribes at that we need to start to identify? Not to cut you off. Only other answer is the testament of the 12 tribes. We know Naphtali was fast as lightning. Could Usain Bolt be a Naphtalian? He runs 110 yards in 9 seconds. I want y'all to think about that. 110 yards in 9 seconds.
So when they got a little 11 or 12-year-old, she grew out there. She running on a treadmill 17 miles an hour. She been clocked at 18, but her daddy won't let her do it on the treadmill. I got a video of her running. They say the
How old is she?
She 11 or 12. The fastest woman was clocked at 15. She running 18.
Look, the tribe of Judah, in the book of Judah, it said he can outrun the hind. That's a baby deer. He outran a mare or a horse in a quarter furlong. They had Jesse Owens race a horse in a quarter furlong. They had Ben Johnson race a horse in a quarter furlong. They had Michael Johnson race a horse in a quarter furlong. What Edomite did they put out there against a horse to say they Israel? And Yanko Rosenbroom lines up. He looks like he's going to explode from the loins. You have Tonto is out here. Tonto, they say he's of the tribe of Gad, some Negroes out of New York. Tonto is up against the horse. Tonto ain't called nothing, have
Hey, too bad. I want to finish that too.
What you got, bro?
What you were saying, Zechariah 10 kind of backs you up in that 7:15 on the tribe, the larger tribe. And then if you ever notice that the DC, I don't know if anybody watch Justice League or DC Universe, and also Marvel, those are all based off Israelites.
Absolutely, superheroes. So, look, absolutely, that's what I'm saying, y'all. Read the testament of the 12 patriarchs. You got Genesis 49. That's what Jacob is talking to each patriarch. Then you go to the testament of the 12 patriarchs. It's going to tell you what's going to befall each one of the 12 tribes' sons in the last days. So you get it directly from the Father. So when you read about Issachar, does it line up with what them Negroes saying out of New York? Will Dan be, or whoever they say, Asher is the Mexican selling coffee? Because they got a picture of Juan Valdez and say that that's what you're getting out of the prophecy. That ain't in that prophecy. It's not there, but it says Israel will dwell among the tribes. They will be oppressed together. Look, this just means, y'all, if we're in the four corners of the earth, them other 10 tribes over there, they look like us, they're going to be oppressed with us. Police say, hey, you niggas, except you, you look like you may be Ephraim. I just want Judah. Judah, you get over here. Ephraim, you go home. Or do they get oppressed together?
Right.
But the bottom line is Judah will stand out because of the yoke of iron around his neck. If your foreparents came off the plantation, you are Judah. There ain't no in between about, I'm talking about the brutal bondage. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we may escape and escaped among Reuben and Simeon and them in different locations. But what I'm talking about is Judah's specific instructions what's going to happen to you. You're going to have a yoke of iron around your neck. Y'all got the slave thing there? Y'all see the yoke of iron? Point that out. Point that out, nurse, right? Y'all see the photo? What that yoke of iron there? Point that out. You see that? See that thing around his neck? That ain't for no other tribes. That's Judah. That's what was prophesied about him. Hard bondage. Now, if we bring the other tribes into that.
How you gonna get in the club with that on?
Boy, look here. How you gonna rest with that on? Where we at, y'all? How much time we got?
I want to say something real quick too to add to that because you hit that Genesis 49, but in Deuteronomy 7:6, when the Lord said, I will make thee a special people above all people upon the face of the earth. Out of the 12 tribes of Israel, he elevated Judah. So you will see throughout, like you just asked the question of Judah and Israel being in bondage together. Throughout the scriptures, after he chose them, when in Genesis 49, when Reuben, Simeon, and Levi lost their birthright, that scepter fell upon Judah, and it said, no longer shall that depart from Judah until Shiloh come from a lawgiver that cometh from between his feet. So not only do the scepter say it's going to stay with him, so from that point on, that the Most High always referred to Judah and Israel. So it's always Judah and the other 11 tribes. So that's how that's going to read from now on throughout the scriptures. When you see that, you will always see Judah and Israel.
Until Shiloh comes. See, that's the key word. Judah got the scepter. When Shiloh comes, he takes back control. Judah is still there. Don't get it twisted. Judah is still front center. But they only were to be answered to until Shiloh comes. Judah was the big brother. He was the go-to. He was the second in line behind Jacob until Shiloh comes. When Shiloh comes, then shall be the gathering of the people. Is that first or second coming? Second. So Judah is still in charge until the second coming.
The lawgiver.
The lawgiver. So y'all, it's a lot of twists and turns. Like I was saying, Sister Batea, she knew exactly what I was talking about in Daniel 9th chapter about the extra days and the Messiah will be cut off after so many weeks. Y'all, this ties in, but we have to know time when you're talking before the sun and moon was created or you're talking after. But why are we talking about Israel in the Garden of Eden? That's the question. What does Israel have to do with the Garden of Eden that Ezra, the book of Ezra is talking about? They wasn't even thought of. Abraham wasn't even thought of, was he? There was no Hebrew race. The Hebrew race started with Arphaxad. That was after the flood. What we talking? What you talking about? What Hebrew in the garden? What Hebrew language in the garden? Arphaxad was the first Hebrew mentioned in the scripture. Eber now.
Who's that?
Son of Shem.
Oh, son of Shem. Okay.
So y'all, we got days in here, but the Most High don't give us all the answers right then, because you know what we'll do? We'll do this. I've read it. Yeah, man, you know the 70 weeks, you know.
70 weeks.
70 years.
That's what I'm saying. So you close it up. It's not going to let you close it up. It'll give you the same verse, and there'll be a different explanation and it'll fill in the missing page. You're like, there it is. But it keeps you focused that you keep going. You don't get sick of it. You know how you get, look, some people can't eat hot dogs no more because they had them every day when they were little. Don't bother me. Some folks ate chicken every day when they were little. Don't bother Theo. So look, it don't bother me to read he's born of a virgin again. I got to keep reading until he come back, or I got to keep reading until I'm dead. One or the other, but I got to keep reading the same thing. I don't care. It's not old. You didn't say that about the 7th grade teacher. She teach the same thing to every class that come up behind you, don't she? Do she change up because there's a new class coming up behind you? No, you actually tell somebody that's coming behind, You want to get Miss Cherry, man. She the best 7th grade teacher in here. She's going to teach this one coming up the same thing she taught you. The gospel of Christ is going to say the same thing. It was go and tell the world who I am, who the children of Israel first, and then the Gentile, and tell them what I got planned for them in the kingdom. Go do that to the end of time. What are we looking in the outer space now for and talking about melanin? What the hell has melanin got to do with the Gentile? You think the Gentiles care because you got melanin? Or you looking up in the outer space? What they're concerned with is what the 12 tribes of Israel for. You're extremely strong. You're abnormal. You're almost a supernatural individual. They argued now about George Floyd had handcuffs behind his back and 4 sets of knees in his back, and they scared if he wake up, all of them will be thrown off the police car and up into cut food window, and he'll stand there, "Rah! Who got my counterfeit 20? Who has it?" They actually want you to believe we're that strong, but they know they done read. These niggas are supernatural. The shooting in the back, they're like, I'm not chasing him. Shit, look how far he got. Look, they couldn't even catch the brother in North Carolina that was running like he had on concrete boots. They shot him in the back 8 times, and he was just running like this, like, man, shit, I ain't ran since grade school. And they couldn't catch up with him and shot him in the back 8 times, didn't they? Y'all see how slow he was running?
Yeah, he had no form.
Walter Scott. Look, Walter Scott, no form, no nothing. But they say y'all supernatural, y'all can break out of handcuffs. Do y'all know they're actually organists now with foam coming out of his mouth and no pulse? They say this Negro still can wake up, and they're making him out supernatural. Did y'all see how big he was? 6'5" and all a pound, but he got dope small on him, but he work out every day. But he's not, that wasn't like Lawrence Taylor they had on the ground. You know, somebody like that, he was scared of different things, but they saying, we just can't trust this. This is a supernatural. We don't know where these people came from. Anybody run 110 yards in 9 seconds, we need to be looking out for.
Look at Rodney King. As much as they beat him, he still was on his knees.
Yeah.
Rolling around.
Where we at? We finished that? Any more questions out there? What you got out there, 2x? We got about 15 minutes. Go ahead.
Vernon Roach said, can you explain Ezekiel 30 and 23? And it says, I will scatter the Egyptians among the nations.
Right.
And will disperse them through the country.
Where we at?
That was
Ezekiel 30 and 23.
Let's get that in. Ezekiel 30 and 23.
Yes, sir.
And we know nations been scattered. Look. Japheth was scattered or pushed out of Russia and Siberia. Esau is Russians. Esau is the Romans. They pushed Japheth out of Siberia. The Eskimos and the islanders, they pushed them out of there and they took over. Esau did. That's what Jasher's 62nd chapter say, don't it? It say they are the Macedonians and the Romans and the Greeks. What are they doing on them islands that Japheth first conquered? Because it said, Japheth, you're the father of all the islands. Now the problem is, if you think Russia was there first, then you got to put a white man on the ark. And you're going to have a rough time with it. Because we can't get a white man until Esau is born in these scriptures.
Let's talk about the destruction of Egypt.
Huh?
They got black Russians, though.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about saying, if you think Caucasians are the seed of Japheth, they just in Japheth's original land. Just like we were in the land of Canaan, which is originally Hamite land after they got off the ark. It's called the land of Canaan. Those are Hamites that had Jerusalem on lock. Where we at? What was that? Ezekiel what?
Ezekiel chapter 30, verse 23.
It's talking about the destruction of Egypt.
You're talking about destruction of Egypt? Ezekiel 30?
30 and 23.
23. And I will scatter Egyptians among the nations and will disperse them throughout the country. Okay.
You started like 1920, you'll see it's talking
Yeah,
about
well, let's get some subject matter first. Yeah, so what we go into, we start at verse 1. We can see the word of the Lord again can be saying, Son of man, prophecy, and say, thus said the Lord, woe to the day, for the day is near, the day of the Lord, cloudy day. So it's talking about last day. And the sword shall come upon Egypt, great pain. What's the difference in Zechariah 14? If they don't come up to the Feast of Tabernacle, they get no what? So this is starting out the same thing. We're talking about the day of the Lord, right? How ye woe worth the day, for the day is near. What day is it talking about?
Day of the Lord.
Day of the Lord. So when you get the subject matter, then by the time you get down to 23, because you're seeing all of this is heat put on Pharaoh's rear end. And not only that, then when you jump right into chapter 31 and start comparing Pharaoh and his power to the trees of the garden. So, y'all, this is just talking about this day of the Lord when he gonna execute judgment on Egypt. Is that what bro was asking, or let's get to the point? What is the question?
Explanation of verse 23.
Start at verse 1. It's going to explain it all, that the Lord is punishing Egypt. All the way from the Isles of Pathros. And the covered cloud and her daughters shall go into captivity. Thus I will execute judgments in Egypt, and they shall know that I am the Lord. Verse 19. And it tell you that he gonna punish Egypt. And I will scatter Egyptian among the nations, will disperse them through the country. And I will strengthen the arms of the king of Babylon and put my sword in his hand. But I will break Pharaoh's arm, and he shall groan. So we got the daughter of Babylon, which is set up just like ancient Egypt. So it's telling you, look, Babylon is going to take over for Egypt. Egypt is a tourist attraction now. You don't go there for nothing else. You go there to see what the pyramids was like, but they're not a power force anymore. The daughter of Babylon, that's with all of Egypt tradition. That's why America set up with pyramids and sitting at the throne, the capital set up just like ancient Egypt. You got Abraham Lincoln sitting on the throne just like Pharaoh and them sat on thrones, you know, big statues. You go see them same exact way. They got the obliques, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That little pointed deal in the center of Washington. So it's saying, I'm gonna raise up another king that's gonna take over for little Egypt. Because they're no more. I shut them down. But he said, guess what? Jeremiah 51, I'm gonna shut the daughter of Babylon down the same way, the same exact way. And we told, don't be scared of the king of Babylon. I sent you to him. Have wives, build ye houses, just like he told us in ancient Egypt. Same way, you know what I'm talking about, Jeremiah 29, Jeremiah 42. Handle your business there, because I sent you there. Don't be scared of the king. I sent you there. That king got to follow what I tell him to do. If he go overboard, he gonna get right here. All of this Isaiah 30 gonna happen the same way for America. Notice you're seeing remnants of Egypt. The remnants of the survival of Egypt. Fit in with Zechariah 14 chapter. If those nations don't come up to Jerusalem, what happened? No rain, no what?
No crops.
No crops, no crops, no what?
No food.
Huh? No water, no Kool-Aid.
He got Kool-Aid, no sugar.
Right, boy, look here. Because you ain't got no crop.
That's right.
No sugar cane.
That's right.
Any more questions behind that, bro? I hope that helped him out. But tell him to read verse 1 all the way down and get into chapter 31, because he's going to try to tell you how great Pharaoh was compared to the greatness of the trees in the Garden of Eden. You got another? You said you had one more. We got 5 minutes. Who knew the next spot?
We won't stop.
Okay, yes, asked in Isaiah 11 and 11, then will the bulk of both tribes be in one location or pressed together?
Well, and that's what we're talking about. 11 and 11 shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria. Where's Assyria? Where? And from Egypt, and from Pathros, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. So the islands of the sea split many ways. There's Hebrews over in the Philippines. Some joined the army and still over there. So these are island people. What we're talking about, the Aborigines, the Filipinos, the Eskimos, those are islanders. Those are original indigenous people. Like Crocodile Dundee wasn't in Australia. He went to Australia and moved the Aborigines out. So he takes over. Gilligan wasn't on that island first. When the last time you seen an Eskimo? Who runs Alaska now? Didn't they used to run it?
That pipeline.
Now, what's that lady ran for president? She killing elk up there now. Sarah Palin running Alaska now. But give me a little bit of this Jasper 62 real quick so y'all understand what I'm speaking of and how they were scattered. A little bit of 62 real quick, y'all. We're gonna close it out. Was that the last question? Hold on, let me get 60. Is it 62 where you know what I'm talking about, Zeppo? You know what I'm talking about, what you said, 56? No, it's when Zeppo found that, what is it? Hold on. What are you saying it is? 2 by 66? It's right when Zeppo killed that beast, that half beast and half man. Where you were I'm at? 66? No, 66 is still talking about us working in their field. I'm talking about when it'll jump around and start talking about 61? 61 and 15? What it say? Zeppo, that's where I want.
Went and he saw and beheld there a large cave at the bottom of the mountain.
What verse you in?
Verse 15.
Uh-huh.
A large cave at the bottom of the mountain, and there was a great stone there at the entrance of the cave. And Zeppo split the stone, and he came into the cave, and he looked, and behold, a large animal was devouring the ox. From the middle upward, it resembled a man.
From the middle upward, it resembled a man, right?
Like a griff, what you call that? The Minotaur?
Yeah.
Minotaur.
Yeah. And from the middle downward, it resembled an animal. And Zeppo rose up against the animal and slew it with his sword.
So you see that, but what I'm looking for is they became the Greeks. Just somebody Google this real fast for me. Zepho or in Book of Jasher, Esau is the Greeks and Macedonians. Or look up Macedonian in the Book of Jasher. That'll lead me right to it. So it's key words, y'all. I'm sorry. Even if the Holy Spirit told me exactly where it was, I would have to explain it. But it says that they became the Greeks and Macedonians. 6124, who that? Yeah. No, it says that. It says, okay, they went to the islands, we're going on down, made Zepho the whole land of Chittim. And, oh, there it is, come on down there, read that 25 on down, read me some 25 on down. Yeah.
Say 61 and 25.
Yeah,
and
but
King Zepho went at their head, and they made war with Tubal.
y'all go on, Shalom says.
Shalom says.
Bye, baby girl.
And they made war with Tubal and the islands.
And with the what?
And the islands.
And all the surround. Where you at? Verse what you in?
25.
Okay. No, but I was just saying read 24.
Oh, okay. And the children of Chittim saw the battle of Zepho. And the children of Chittim resolved that they made Zepho king over them. And he became king over them.
Right.
And whilst he reigned, they went to subdue the children of Tubal.
Tubal came. Go ahead.
And all the surrounding islands.
And all the surrounding what?
Islands.
Okay.
And their king Zepho went at their head. And they made war with Tubal and the islands. And they subdued them. And when they returned from the battle, they renewed his government for him. And they built for him a very large place.
Palace.
Royal habitation. I'm sorry. A very large place.
Palace.
A very large palace for his royal habitation.
Right.
And seat. And they made a large throne for him. And Zepho reigned over the whole land of Chittim and over the land of Italia 50 years.
Over the land of what? Where's Italy? That's Italia, ain't it? So, but it's more language in here.
It's Cornelius.
Just look up somebody for me, the book of Jasher, the word Macedonia or the Greeks. And it's going to lead you right to where it's saying Judah took over, and they are now called the Macedonian and the Greeks of these islands. It's in there. I just don't have time to look it up right now because we're at the end of time. But y'all, I'm telling you, it's saying that's who took over Russia. That's who took over Italia. And Chittim was Africa, so he conquered them and took over. So who's running the land of Canaan right now but Esau? If you go that Russians are in the land of Magog or Gog, and you say them the ones that got off the ark, then who in Jerusalem right now saying that they Israel? They Israel. And them the white Jews. You can't have it both ways. You can't separate them when you want to. The island were island people. You cannot get a white man on the ark. The only time the Bible talks about the color of a man being different is Genesis 24 and 25 when Esau is born. And he has 12 tribes in Genesis 36. So that's what we have to deal with the records that we have. We can't go outside. Even if you try to use Naaman as a leper and it say his descendants after him will be snow white because of leprosy, what do they know more writings about him? Naaman may have died. That ends the curse with him, don't it? Or we got to find the writings, the sons of Naaman and his posterity. If it ain't there, we can't make it fit, can you?
Nope.
If it don't fit, don't do what?
Force it.
Don't quit. Whatever.
Relax and let it go. Look.
All right, y'all, let's stop.
Yeah, look, no, I'm just talking about you have to let a matter go. You just have to relax and let it go until you can figure out what this saying. Because the bottom line is, if you try to say, well, Noah was albino according to the book of Enoch 106 chapter, say he was rosy red. The bottom line is it didn't describe his sons as that.
Right.
It talks about the children of Israel in Lamentations 4. It said they're the color of the tents of Kedar. So it gives you something to compare us to. When you look up tents of Kedar, they're dark skinned. The tents are dark. So it said I'm gonna compare you to that. It said when the children of Israel, when they so bad, they are it's like saying their skin is as black as a coal. As it been in an oven.
Because of mourning.
When you read about the angel, when you read the Messiah, it say his color of his loins down, the color of amber. You have to look up amber, a brownish, yellowish, translucent color like we are. Like color you sitting right there, Shamal. No, it ain't white. No, it ain't white. See, but look. This why the script is all or nothing. You can't piece it together like some people say, well, Satan is the white man, he's the devil. The problem is we only get one description of what the angels look like. It said they were the color of amber from the loins upward. They are dark skinned. They're the color of bronze, the color of a penny. How do you then make Satan white with no other scriptures? Or are you just too ashamed to say he was black? What is it? Is that it? Look, when you got Revelation 2 and 9 and 3 and 9, the synagogue of Satan, those are Christ's church. You have to be careful if you say those are white Edomite churches. Those were Israelites that were in that church and got run out. Then the Edomites took over. But originally those churches, because he's explained them to you, this church of Philadelphia. I got a problem with you. You putting one man in charge. That's going to be a problem. You the church of the Nicolaitans. Is he talking to Edomites or he talking to Israelites in them churches?
Israelites.
You can't have it both ways. You got to put things in perspective to know that's after we got run out. Yeah. Now they're the synagogue of Satan. But the Pharisees was in them synagogue. What did he call them? Serpents and vipers, didn't he?
That's right.
So they synagogue of Satan first.
That's right.
First. They were the first synagogues of Satan. Anybody found that Macedonian yet in this? Ain't nobody feel like Googling today.
No Googlers, huh?
All I'm looking for is Macedonia and the Greeks in Book of Jasher. That's all you have to type in. Macedonia and the Greeks, Book of Jasher. Now, if we had in there how to sip wine smoothly, I got it right here, bro. I got it. No, I'm just messing with y'all.
Swallow wine.
Yeah. Where we at, y'all? We finna close out? Any more questions concerning the feast day ending, y'all? We are winding down the last day, the 7th day of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. When the street lights come on, y'all, it's telling you you're prepared to go back to eating regular bread. Get your stomach prepared to eat regular bread. First thing you need to do is probably eat unleavened bread a couple more hours. You put a Big Mama pizza to go in your belly and a 6-pack of Budweiser, you are going to have some problems later on. I'm talking about because that you're going to flood your intestines with yeast again. You just can't do it that quick. You have to work your way back up to the Big Mama pizza. Ain't nobody found that yet, huh?
I've been reading, I ain't Googling, but I ain't found.
Well, ain't nobody Googling, but yeah, let's close out.
I found Mesopotamia.
You found Mesopotamia? No, see, because when you get into the wars, Esau is battling all throughout this. Eliphaz, when Zeppo slain fell before Zeppo chid him, had not come 60. Y'all know why I believe it's in 62, y'all. Some just telling me it's in 62. And Perez, Moab, he is son of the middle. First between, I'm okay. What it say? Maybe in there. No, it's here. Hold on. Therefore, I'm looking at 25, 62 and 25. I'm starting to look at some, but Africa, there was a boy there. Yo, I'm gonna find this, and I have two by put it out. And Zepho, the son of the and Zepho, Africa, and Zepho,
What about
Edom. And Africa, and Zepho sent letter to Chittim, and Zepho became their king, and Zepho. What you saying, Ner?
Try Jasher chapter 90, see what that.
No, that's too, is it 90? That may be too far up. See what it say, do you see Macedonia and all that? Oh. See, and y'all, this is Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, and what I want y'all to understand about this, Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, when you read Genesis 36 chapter, these same sons are in there listed in the same order of the dukes and demons of Esau's lineage. Mm-hmm. They're the same ones listed all throughout here. And a lot of people have a problem with Job being an Edomite. But guess who Job's best friends were? Mm-hmm. Eliphaz the Teemite. Mm-hmm. He's hanging out with them as his best friends. Mm-hmm. And he had to sacrifice for them.
And look, even before that, when the Most High, when Satan came before the Most High and asked him,
you got to close in some.
He said, "Have you considered my servant Job?"
What did he say?
So he said, "Have you considered my servant Job?" So
right.
All of Job's boys, Job was more righteous than them.
Yeah.
He was more righteous than the Israelites, his partners.
Well, they wasn't Israelites. I'm saying they came from his friend Eliphaz the Teemite.
Right. Mm-hmm. They weren't trusting it. That's why they gave him that bad advice. In the chapter 30s in there where you read when they said you had to have done something wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
He was more righteous than them for the Lord to offer up. For Satan to mess with. Mm-hmm.
Right, absolutely, because all Satan asked was to take the hedge off us, and that's what he want to do to us today. Take the hedge off of us. Yep. If you take the hedge off, and all that means take the Holy Spirit from them, and let's see how good their soul is. Y'all, I'm gonna find that because that's bothering me now. But it's in here because I keep seeing the wars with Chittim. Zippo died, so Zeppo. Y'all, I'll find that. I have two, but I put it out. But it seemed like we ain't getting the Googling like we used to.
It ain't coming up. Yeah, it just ain't coming up.
So y'all saying my Googling is off.
Yeah, it ain't coming up on it.
Thou hast said.
What you say? What you saying, sis?
Jasher 6310 in the chair, yeah.
6310?
Google ain't a scholarship.
Right.
That's not what he's looking for.
No, what I'm looking for, it'll say they became the Greeks and the Macedonians. All you gotta do is look up them two words and say in the book of Jasher, Greek and Macedonian.
It ain't coming up.
It ain't coming up? I'll get that, y'all. I'll make that a mission of mine, because I know I read it. I may be in, and I could be in Book of Jubilees, but
Judah Black says Jasper 10:13.
Jasper?
Yeah, he put He probably did it on purpose, you know that.
What did he say it was?
He Jasper 10:13.
10:13.
I bet you did it on purpose, bro.
10:13. And the children of Jajam dwell in the children of the land and Tubal, those that dwell in the repent. No, that's just going into the original descendant getting off. No, this clearly says that Esau, because Esau wasn't born at this time. I'm dealing strictly with Esau, Zeppo now. I'll find it, y'all. Either I'm misunderstood in the either it's in the Book of Jubilees or it's in Book of Jubilees, or it's in this Jasher I'm speaking of. And it talks about Zepho, and they became the Greeks and the Macedonians.
Yes, sir.
And I seen the Italian, all of Italian in that line, but it gets clear with who Zeppo is. He's the father of Greek. I'll find it, y'all. Y'all probably can Google Zeppo, father of the Greeks. See what that do in the scriptures.
Guess when we get upstairs.
Huh? Yeah, we probably get on out of here, y'all. Let's go on out of here while we're still looking, cause everybody look, man, we get that when we get home, man. Let's close out, y'all. It's in the 61st chapter through the 65, I believe, y'all. I'll double check that. Let me look at Genesis 36 in my Bible. It may lend there, because I've touched scriptures together. Let me look at my Genesis 36. I don't have it marked there. Genesis 36 lays it on the line, so. What I got, Exodus 15:15. I'll find that, y'all. Sorry about that today, my memory late in the day evades me. How we looking, y'all? Everybody good out there, Dubai? Everybody feast went well?
There was somebody who was asking who somebody was, but we had to get back with that. He said, I still do not know what nation he was.
What nation? Who was?
Did you know that question, bro? Aniana?
Who Job was?
I don't know, it just say I still do not know what nation he was. She didn't ask who.
The one I seen was facing the field. It said, what about the plebeians? Do they exist? I think that's what that said. I want to ask you.
Who?
Plebeians or something?
Plebeians.
We'll get to him later.
That's why I took a picture of it at the last minute.
All right, family, we're going to get this closing prayer. And it's with the Most High's permission, and in the name of His only begotten Son, our Lord and Savior, our Redeemer, Yahushua HaMashiach. We know Him as Jesus the Christ, family. Long live the King.
Long live the King.
Reading in the book of Psalms, in the 32nd chapter, it reads, Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is the man unto whom the Most High imputeth not iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no guile. When I kept silence, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. For day and night thy hand was heavy upon me. My moisture is turned into the drought of summer. Selah.
Selah.
I acknowledge my sin unto thee, and mine iniquity have I not hid. I said, I will confess my transgressions unto the Most High, and thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin. Selah.
Selah.
For this shall everyone that is godly pray unto thee in a time when thou mayest be found. Surely in the floods of great waters they shall not come nigh unto him. Thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble. Thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverances. Selah.
Selah.
I will instruct thee and teach thee in the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eye. Be ye not as the horse, or as the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with bit and bridle, lest they come near unto thee. Many sorrows shall be to the wicked, but he that trusteth in the Most High, mercy shall compass him about. Be glad in the Most High, and rejoice, ye righteous, and shout for joy, all ye that are upright in heart.
Hallelujah! Selah! All right, y'all, just one quick thing before you close out. Pentecost, y'all, we got 7 weeks in a day, y'all, so it looks like we're talking about May the 23rd. Is that correct? Feast of Pentecost, y'all. Also, we just want to send shouts out to Sister Malaya, Sister Stacy, Sister Lisa. Thank y'all for y'all continued support. It's a sister out of Houston, Texas. I'll butcher your name to death. I know it's Robert. No, I'm sorry, sister, but I know you in Houston, Texas. I'm not gonna do it, sister. I know you in Houston, Texas, but we sure thank you tremendously. Well, he butchered too.
Hey, too bad that video excellent, bro.
Get some more wine and hot sauce back there.
A whole bottle. We'll just hold it.